3.5 hours of nonstop NFL DFS conversation starts right now. Welcome to the RotoGrinders show. Week 14, we have updated weather. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth updated the weather page. Of course, we're still 3.5 hours from the 1 o'clock kickoffs. Weather is fluid. Things can change, but it looks a little bit dicier today. We might have a couple of snow games. I'm going to go ahead and drop this in chat for the people. You can read it at your own leisure. I'll probably read it as well because I think it's kind of sort of somewhat important. At the same time, I do not like being somebody that freaks out over weather. Typically wind is the one that's the diciest. It changes things the most. But I think it's going to be a driving force of the conversation today, at least to some degree. Look at that. TJ throwing it on the screen for the people as well. Full on orange in Jacksonville, yellow orange in Cleveland. That's a snow game. We're expecting rain in Jacksonville. Roth says it might pour all game in Jacksonville and pregame and postgame. He says we want to double check the radar pregame, obviously, to make sure the setup is correct. Things can change, of course, but that's what we're looking at right now. Also, snow in Buffalo, not terribly surprising. Yellow, orange, snow expected in Buffalo as well. A snowfall before both pregame and in-game. Snow totals here are likely a touch higher than in Cleveland, perhaps a bit over an inch, and with temperatures a degree below freezing and no heated field in Buffalo. I didn't know that. They are building a brand new field for next season. Winds are light, around 5 miles per hour, so wind a non-issue, but it is going to be snowing. All right, so just want to throw that out there. And Roth does take the opportunity. I think it was Tom Brady that mentioned he kind of liked the snow games because he knew where his receivers were going. The defense didn't know, and he kind of felt like he had a bit of an advantage. Joining me today, as always, it's Bobby Gomes, $4 million runner Bobby Gomes, as well as TastefulTides. It's Tim. Boys, how are things? Happy Sunday, Tim. How are we doing this fine Sunday morning?
Yeah, doing well. Sorry we're late, everybody. Bobby was trying to convince me that nicotine is good for you, and that he was trying to promote me to get back into nicotine after I was a smoker for 18 years, so he was trying to get me back into nicotine use. I was trying to tell him there's a lot of data that does not support that theory, but he said just Google it. Just Google it. And I'll find that nicotine is in fact good for me. So we'll see. I have a lot to look up after the show. Maybe we don't have time to discuss that right now. But it's anyway. We're sorry we're late, and this slate does seem pretty good. I know that Dean kind of poo-pooed it on FanDuel a little bit, but I think it's okay. I don't mind it. I mean, I ran some multiples for the show, and it's not. I'm really going to be leaning away from projections, which is not something that I usually do. Like, there's a lot of, there's still a lot of JJ McCarthy love, which I'm just not going to be playing. Like, there's a lot of JJ McCarthy love on FanDuel, it seems like, and I'm just not going to be going there. But we'll discuss it.
What's up, Bobby? Good morning. We're going to have an interesting conversation. Of course, we'll throw some teams and some tiers. We'll run out tiers later on in the show. Oh, it is also well, let's get the first clue to the early risers. Sure, why not? People out there on the West Coast woke up 6:30 in the morning to watch us. So we'll give them the first clue for today's Superstar Sunday. Get yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. Just tell me what superstar I'm talking about. TJ is going to start that scroll at the bottom of the screen. One clue will drop every 10 minutes or so, give or take. And Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord, live stream chat channel. Most of our Discord channels is free. That is a free channel. Again, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Jump in the live stream chat and tell me what superstar I'm talking about. Feel is actually the first clue. Feel is the first clue. Bobby, how are we feeling this morning?
We're feeling pretty good. The nicotine thing didn't have to do with smoking. Like, I wouldn't say go smoke a cigarette and that's good for you. Obviously, it's probably the worst thing you do. But nicotine itself, there's been, I think, new studies that in small doses, it's not terrible for you. So, yeah, that's what I was talking about with Tim. Interesting morning. I will say, if people don't want to play Jamar Chase today, I will be playing all the Jamar Chase. I don't care about the weather. I think he's a fantastic play in Buffalo, regardless of snow, regardless of what Kevin Roth tells us. No wind there, just snow. So I love Jamar Chase. I'm just looking at the weather situation. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting Sunday. Like this slate a little bit. Nice to see you guys again after a week. Someone won last week, and they gave both of you a shout out, and not me.
I was hoping you weren't going to see that, Bobby.
Yeah, I seen it. I saw it. I saw it. All right. It's actually in a comment.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. But we're here. We're ready. Another Sunday, Dean. Another Sunday.
Yeah, we're going to talk through it. Tim kind of said our pre-show, I don't love this slate. I know we're all dealing with the same pieces. It's not amazing. There's only one total in the 50s. That's worth checking. Have the totals changed, Cincinnati and Buffalo? I imagine it's still somewhere in the 50s. We're still at 53.5. So, yeah, just to be clear, Vegas does not care about the snow in Buffalo. That line has actually jumped. It was 52.5 earlier in the week. I do think Indy in the Jags, has that dropped? That opened at 46.5, and it's currently 45.5. And that's the one we're expecting some rain. Roth is saying it might pour all game in Jacksonville. Different degrees of pouring, right? If it's just a drizzle, I wouldn't really care. But pouring at some point where it'd be tough to throw a football and catching a football and going long, that could definitely muck things up. But maybe they haven't quite caught up with that weather report. But as of right now, Vegas not terribly scared when it comes to that weather report. In Cleveland, they can't go any lower, right? What was it, 33.5 the last I saw it as far as the total in that game? Trying to find
That's the lowest total of any game all season, right?
It might be, yeah. It's still sure 33.5. Like, so you can't make it much lower than 33.5. Two shaky offenses, not great weather. Yeah, it's still holding at 33.5 as far as I can tell at scores and odds. But yeah, the big total this week is Cincinnati and Buffalo. Pickens is back this week, for what it's worth. Wait, did I say
Higgins?
No. Yeah, T. Higgins. Pickens, yeah, he is back this week too. He's already done. He already played football for Dallas. I'm got my Cincinnati receivers confused. That was last year. Yeah, so Higgins is playing football today for Cincinnati. Not a lot of injury stuff as far as we're monitoring. We are expecting Dalton Kincaid to play for Buffalo. Jaden Reed coming back for Green Bay, kind of muck some stuff up a little bit. We know that Arizona is really thin at receiver. They lost Xavier Weaver. They lost too short. What's the too small?
Greg Dortch.
Greg Dortch.
Greg Dortch.
Yeah. Parker Washington also, I'm seeing he's unlikely to play as well for Jacksonville. But really not a lot of injury stuff that I think we're waiting for, unless I'm missing something. I don't think there's much injury-wise. It just kind of is what it is. Maybe we'll get a surprise at 11:30 as far as actives and inactives. But, yeah, Tim, how are you? We usually give the people a couple of cash game plays before we dive in and start talking about our tiers. I think you're supposed to play at least one of, Josh Allen and Cook. I think one of those, if not both, are they both going to be on your cash game lineup for Buffalo? Just theoretically get all the touchdowns for the Bills. I'm curious how you're handling cash games today.
Yeah, so it's definitely a tricky situation with that Buffalo game. I am going to prioritize one of those, one of Allen or Cook in my cash game team. It's probably on DraftKings. It's probably going to be Cook. It might be the other way around on FanDuel. I'm still kind of working that out. We are our number one FanDuel optimal right now has Josh Allen in it, and I really do like that team a ton. So we're not currently getting to a lot of James Cook in optimals, but I'm going to override that. That's what I was kind of talking about at the beginning of the show. I'm not going to be leaning into projections as heavily as I normally do. I just love that spot. So I think you should be getting to one of Allen or Cook in your cash game builds. You're obviously going to be playing Michael Wilson on both sites. Like he 100%, he should be 100% in cash games. He'll likely be like 80%, but don't be a member of that 20%. Just play him today everywhere. He's definitely a core play. It's running back is, I talked about James Cook. Running back's pretty wide open today. there are a few options that you can get to. Like you can double spend up at running back if you don't play Josh Allen, because there's some pretty good value at wide receiver today. So Devon A-Chain at 8,800 is definitely in the conversation for cash games. Quinshon Judkins is kind of seems like the mid-range guy. We're currently getting to a lot of him in optimals right now at 6,400. So he's absolutely in the conversation. I think Josh Jacobs at 6,800 is a fair price as well. But yeah, you should definitely. I think you should either be playing A-Chain or James Cook as like your premium spend up at the running back position. And then tight end, Kyle Pitts is the guy again. He's always a little bit. Yeah, I mean, he's always a little bit scary. He's definitely not somebody that I'm like ever really that excited to play. But I think he is the cash game guy. AJ Barner at 3,200, I think is okay if you want to save the 1,000. He's at least, he's a full-time player. It's a pretty good matchup. So I think Barner at 3,200 would be the guy if I was looking to save off of Pitts. And then I think that's it. Jaden Daniels is somebody that we have to talk about at quarterback. He's $6K on DraftKings. Like theoretically, that price is way too cheap. I'm a little bit concerned about his rushing upside, but it's the price is still really, really good. So I mean, he's currently the quarterback that I'm getting the most of it in optimals. I don't think I'm going to play him in cash. I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% yet, but I think he's. I mean, he's okay. I'm a little bit hesitant about his rushing upside here.
If this was Jaden Daniels, like no injury, and he's having like the season he was expected to have, he's too cheap on DK, right? So, but like coming off an injury, that was an elbow. It's not like it was a leg. Like we see Lamar is just like every part of his leg has been on the injury report the past month or so, and the running has kind of been halted. So,
do we care that they're 3-9 though? I mean, it's like how much is he going to be?
He's not going to
for every yard,
players, man. He's not going to just like have. He's a football player. Just like was it Jackson Dart said like the same thing, right? He was like basically the. I can't remember how he phrased it, but it paraphrased like a dog's going to do what a dog's going to do. Basically, I can't remember how he phrased it, but it's just like you can't go out there and play half speed of football. And they always say like if that's what you're doing, you're going to enhance your chances of getting hurt. But it is a fair point. But I think he's motivated to play. If that's what you're asking, I think.
If you don't care about that, then you should be playing Jaden Daniels in cash at 6K.
He's also rusty. If you want to make that argument, in Minnesota might throw him some weird stuff. Like their DC will throw some things at you. But McLaurin seems a little bit underpriced, possibly. You're in a dome, which is nice this time of year. Kind of avoiding the elements. I do think he's an interesting play on DK, and actually he is hitting our stuff. I ran some optimals too. My optimals, I had a little bit of variance, so I am getting not mostly, but the most popular quarterback is Josh Allen on DK, then Nix, then Daniels, then Mayfield, and Stafford. Earlier in the week, we were getting McCarthy. We were getting some cheap stuff, T-Law as well. I'm not sure if Cardi is still on. I know the Blitz was liking McCarthy an uncomfortable amount. I don't know if that's still the case. I'm not really sure. Bobby, you have any big overarching thoughts before we kind of dive in and talk about the slate, game by game and throw in some teams in some tiers?
Yeah, if you're not playing Josh Allen or Joe Burrow, like paying down at quarterback, I don't hate. Going to that New Orleans game, Tyler Shaw, I think, is perfectly fine versus Tampa Bay. He's the guy that's kind of sticking out for me in tournaments. And old reliable this season, Jacoby Brissett. Don't mind getting to him versus the Rams. Running back's pretty strong across, like pretty much all across the board. Jacobs, Breece Hall, James Cook. Like you guys said, James Cook or Allen and Cash, one of the two. I think that's pretty reasonable. You mentioned Judkins, 6,400 for Judkins. I think he'll probably be the guy that gets squeezed in cash games. So I don't know, in tournaments. His ownership probably a little bit lower. I don't mind him versus Tennessee, who hasn't been able to stop a nosebleed, whether it's passing or running all season. Wide receiver, Michael Wilson's like the definitive chalk.
You think that's good chalk or bad chalk?
I'm fine with being slightly over the field on Wilson. He's not someone I'm trying to fade. I think the bigger decision point is like, do you get up to Chase or Nakua? And who do you like between those two guys? I think the field's probably leaning Nakua. I think I like Chase.
I like JSN the most. You didn't mention it.
I like JSN the most.
I think JSN's in the mix. I think he falls behind Chase and Nakua for me, but I get it. Like, JSN's in a dome.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
I just think people are going to overrate the snow situation, and Puka's in Arizona, so like, how bad's his weather? But I kind of like when the receivers are, and if there's no wind, I don't care about the snow. I think it, like you said, the beginning of the show, I think it kind of benefits the guy the quarterback wants to go to, and who has a better rapport in the league than Chase and Burrow, right? So I don't know.
Stafford and Devontae Adams.
I'm just talking about
they're at the goal line.
Yeah, but Chase and Burrow have been doing it since LSU together. Right? That's what I'm saying. Stafford and Burrow, the goal line is a good point.
Brit's going to be jumping in the show later, by the way. He's going to be on Crunch Time with TJ. He's got a question for you, Tim. Brit is debating back and forth, looks like, on a 2v2 for cash. And you might be looking at the same thing. Josh Allen, this looks like for DK. Josh Allen, Kyle Pitts, or Daniels and Harvey.
So I would go Allen and Pitts.
So, but that means he's playing two tight ends.
That's what a lot of optimals are spitting out right now.
Do you?
A ton of Pitts, Barner, Pitts, Loveland.
Really?
Yep.
And then you're getting like three studs, right? You're getting Cook.
I really dislike Pitts at the tight end position, but he shows pretty well for me too.
Well, he's talking about in the flex. So
you're getting.
I think the flex, like Trey McBride, makes a good bit of sense if you're playing the tight end, right? Like you're pretty much taking the wide receiver there. He's pretty much a wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of two tight end stuff as well, which is surprising me. I generally don't like that. Maybe that's my own little. I don't know. I'm averse to it. I'm not saying it's something you can't do. I prefer it more in tournaments. I like to get as many touches as possible, right? And I want to get the three running backs that are going to get me 20 plus touches or so. Now, one of them is cut down if I'm going only two running backs. Now, I say this as somebody who's not playing cash games today. So you've dug into it more than I have.
Even if you go down 1,700 to Daniels, you can't necessarily get like a big touch guy in that flex spot. So you have to, in order to do that traditional three running back build, you almost have to get away from Puka or Chase or JSN, whoever one of those big time wide receiver ones. So that's the sacrifice that you have to make. Like, do you want to fade all three of JSN and Puka Jamar so that you can get that more traditional 3 RB build? That is an interesting decision point. I don't think you should fade all three of those guys in cash. You should be playing one of JSN, Puka, and Chase. In my opinion, it's JSN or Puka. But I mean, if you want to save and get $8,200 Jamar Chase, that's completely fine. But I think you need to be playing one of those three guys. So in order to do that, it's really hard to play that traditional 15 to 20 touch, 6 to 8K running back. It's hard to play all three running backs like that.
It took me about 10 teams or so to scroll down, and I finally found one that has the running back in the flex that has Cook, Achane, Walker, and Josh Allen. So you're getting all Buffalo. But to your point, and I'm not giving this away, right? I mean, people know Wilson, of course, Burden, of course, and then A.D. Mitchell. So you're not getting any of those top receivers. So yeah, it's an interesting decision point for sure. I don't know what's right. This is why I'm happy I'm not playing gas games today, because it's really, really a tough decision as far as I can tell. Yeah, Walker versus Harvey is another tricky one. I think I prefer Walker, even though he's the last 2 weeks, my best teams that have been really, really well positioned. He's been the worst player on both of them. And I keep seeing Zach Charbonnet scoring. Zach Charbonnet is like Devontae Adams. Just every time you get into 5 or so or 10, get off the field, Walker. Here comes Charbonnet. But I think I prefer Walker to Harvey. Would you agree with that, Tim?
Walker over Harvey. Yeah, it's probably Walker for me. The one that's popping constantly across multiple projection systems is Ashton Genty, which I don't really like at all.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's a super talented running back, but this is a horrible matchup, and it's not. I mean, I think there are other guys like Walker, who's $500 less on DraftKings that I think I'd rather play. Yeah, so I mean, Genty is somebody that I think is somebody that I'm going to be leaning off of, despite the fact that he is popping in a ton of optionals right now, and his projection is quite strong. I don't want any Vegas players today against Denver.
3 weeks in a row, 8 targets. Those are easy targets. Those are easy points, and that's what bolstering it. He's getting more dump offs. I assume I'm not on the projections team. I'm assuming that's what's going on there. Just getting more pass, and especially on DK full point. He's going to catch 70-80% of the balls. They're just going to dump off to him. So 6 catches, 8 catches, 6 catches the last 3 weeks, which is definitely jumped as the season has progressed. They didn't really pass the ball to him at all early in the year. What do you got, Bobby?
I like Genty ahead of Walker and Harvey for that reason.
All right, let's do our tiers. Let's throw some teams into some tiers. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, do all those things. We appreciate all the button clicks. We have Brit coming on at like 12:15, as well as TJ. TJ producing all the way up to that point. TJ is not going anywhere for the next 3 hours and change. In between that, you got GPP Final Takes, usual suspects, Jordan, Erik, and Neil jumping in around 11 o'clock or so. Today's tiers, boys. Yeah, I don't know where this one came from to me, but this is what came to me. I power ranked celebrities, their real names, the real names of celebrities. You don't know them by this name, but this is actually their real name. It's on their certificate and everything. I assume. I didn't, confirm. But so celebrity, real names of celebrities, and I power ranked that, and that's, I don't know what inspired me, but that's what we're doing. We're doing celebrity real names. And I guess we can just kind of sort of reveal the board. Maybe you guys can guess who it is. I'm not sure. We can play that game if we want. Chat, you can throw out your favorite celebrity with their real life name. But there you go. That is our board today in the one hole. Does anybody recognize these names? Bobby, can you see the screen?
I can see the screen, yeah, perfectly. O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Well, no, that was TJ was taking liberties. That's not. It's okay. He just fixed it. It is O'Shea Jackson. But yes, you're aware of his son as well.
Not a liberty typo.
Oh, okay.
Why'd you ask if I could see the screen?
Well, then you can play along. You can actually answer, because I wasn't sure if you're looking at the screen or not. I don't know.
I was trying to repost on Twitter for our show, Dean, so people could.
I was just making sure that you were looking at the screen. I didn't want to ask you a question you couldn't answer.
All right. No.
Don't overthink it.
Am I supposed to know who these people are, Dean?
Not real. Like, you're aware of their existence, but you probably know a couple of them. Yeah, you should know a couple of them.
I know one of them. I know one.
Sure. I've heard of Olivia Cockburn.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, though.
Yeah.
Aubrey Graham is Drake. Marshall Mathers is Eminem, and those are the only two I know. I've heard of O'Shea Jackson. No idea who that is.
Well, you might know his son. It's Ice Cube. It's Ice Cube, and his kid is O'Shea Jackson Jr., who you see in the movies as well. Marshall Mathers, of course, is Eminem. Mark Sinclair is Vin Diesel. That's Vin Diesel's real name.
Oh, is it really? I've heard of Mark Sinclair too, but
sounds like an accountant, right? Or like a banker or something. But no,
he was like a dancer before he did XXX, right? And
I think he was a bouncer, but he didn't do XXX. Vin Diesel was not in there. You're thinking of Matthew McConaughey, maybe?
Vin Diesel was definitely in XXX.
Vin Diesel is XXX.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was thinking of the strip movie.
Fast and the Furious.
No, I was thinking of the McConaughey one with I don't know. I don't recall what it is. Chop always talks about it. He's a big fan of that movie, but Do not want to derail.
I have to say this. He has some really bad takes in movies. Chopper.
Job.
Good guy. Bad movie takes.
I like how you have to like you feel like you're saying he's gonna be okay.
It's like Dean with food takes. I mean, Dean's a great guy. The worst food takes probably on the internet. I mean, the entire internet.
There's a lot of people on the internet.
I know. I'm aware.
When I think of Head Chopper and like what he watches, like I think of him like down in Texas, and he's got USA what was that USA channel? Remember USA?
I mean, it still exists, but yeah.
Yeah. He's just watching those movies with the commercials, just sitting on his couch. That's what I think.
Back in the day, they used to have like Gilbert Gottfried movies. Yeah, that's many, many years ago, though. That's you got to be a certain age to recall. Yeah, Aubrey Graham, you were right. That is Drake, and Olivia Cockburn is that's Olivia Wilde. So there you go. You're aware of her existence.
Interesting name for Olivia Wilde, right? Well, I guess why she changed it. But.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, Mark Sinclair, I lied. It's not Vin Diesel. That's actually Broccoli Boy. That's Broccoli Boy, a celebrity in our world, right? If nothing else, I did that for you, Bobby. But yeah, it's a tough. I get why they changed it. There's a whole bunch of other lists that I do some splicing. And
what's wrong with Mark Sinclair? It's just like a normal name.
That's why it's in the 3 hole, Bobby. You understand how this works? 3 is like just perfectly.
I understand how it works. It's just like why change your name to like Vin Diesel?
Because
like
you don't think his career would have been worse if his name was Mark Sinclair?
I don't think there would have been any difference.
Triple X.
I don't think there would have been any difference.
I disagree. Mark Sinclair is not starring in Triple X.
Why not?
Because he's like he controls the budget maybe on the show on the movie, but I just don't think Mark Sinclair is starring in that movie. But maybe he would have. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong to say that. It didn't hurt him. Vin Diesel just sounds like that's the name of an action star.
All right.
Okay. We got our tiers set. Let's go ahead. Oh, let's drop a second clue. We didn't get a winner just yet. So clue number 2. Feel was clue number 1. It is not Ricky Williams or Phil Mickelson or Bill Walton or Phil Jackson. Second clue for today's Superstar Sunday. Clue number 2. It is Tree. Feel and Tree. First game, we're going to talk about 11 games. Let's throw some teams into some tiers. We, of course, as always, conducted our coin toss backstage. So strange. Bobby won it, but it turns out it was an illegal flip. So we had to do it again. And Tim actually won the coin toss. And we did it when we did it legitimately. So we're going to Tim's going to go first. It's the Saints and the Bucks. 41.5 is the total. Saints on the road here in Tampa, but 9-point dogs. Baker Mayfield seems kind of sort of hurt. Like, who knows to what degree? We saw Bucky Irving come back last week and get a big chunk of that usage. Egbuka has been rough of late, has not been spectacular. Mike Evans did not make it back this week. There were rumors he might. Not happening just yet. Seems unlikely he'll get to 1,000 yards this season. Tim, how do we feel about the Bucks and the Saints? Yeah,
I love Bucky Irving this week. I thought he was going to be a little bit chalkier, but there's just so much running back talent here this week. So his ownership is going to be insulated a little bit here. So Bucky Irving is one of my favorite GPP plays on the entire slate. So not a cash game play, but definitely GPPs. But the stack in general, I don't really love for Tampa Bay. So I think I'm going to put them in the Mark Sinclair tier just because they do have enough talent and they are so much better than the Saints that I think they can. There are pieces here that can win you the slate. Mainly, I think Bucky Irving. So I'm going to put them right in the middle. The Saints, I basically have no interest in. Devine Neil is an interesting play just because the Buccaneers do give up a ton of receptions to opposing backfields. So I think at Devine Neil's price at 5,100, he could be part of your GPP pool. But really, the wide receiving core here, I don't have a lot of faith in them. So I'm going to put the Saints in the Aubrey Graham tier.
Tier 4 for the Saints, tier 3 for Tampa. Bobby, what say you?
I'm going to bounce the Bucks to Aubrey Graham. Cade Otton's fine. He's probably my favorite play. I don't mind Bucky, but running back super strong. And the issue for me with Bucky is they're willing to use different running backs and I'd rather guys that have more of a like condensed workload, I guess. So yeah, not really in on Bucky too much. He'll be in my pool, but I'll probably be underweight. In terms of like Baker and the wide receivers, really no interest. Saints, I'm gonna do a little 180 here. I'm gonna put the Saints in O'Shea Jackson.
Whoa.
Yeah, O'Shea Jackson. I like Tyler Shaw today, 4,600.
Who's that now?
I'm not sure how you say his name, Dean. He's not going to be the quarterback after this season, so it doesn't really matter. Right? We only care about today.
Shuck, just so you know, for going forward.
Shuck. Yeah, 4,600. First the Bucks. Secondary isn't the greatest. I'm fine going there. I don't mind Olave. I think he's a very interesting tournament play. Vele's been playing well. Had a great week last week. If he did it last week, he has to do it this week. Number one rule in DFS. But I am going to that. I don't mind Juwan Johnson either. Juwan Johnson, if people are going to be playing Kyle Pitts at 4,200, I'll just play Juwan Johnson at 4K. That's pretty much how I see this Saints team. I have interest. I know I'm about to be poo-pooed. You're going to tell me, oh, this is a bad take, Bobby, but I think it's a good take. I'm going with it. Hopefully I win the point. I'm trying to make a good case for myself.
That coffee's really hitting hard today.
I woke up 20 minutes before the show started, so it's gonna hit.
Yeah, but then you started off with a double iced coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, that's an aggressive way to start the day.
Yeah.
I actually like the Saints a tick more than Tim does. I just don't like him as much as Bobby does. So I'll have to agree with Tim. Vele, I think, is an interesting cheapie. He's on the field a ton. He got there last week. That doesn't mean he's going to get there this week, obviously. Neil is going to be on the field a lot as well at running back, just opportunity. But wait, hold on a second. TJ, if Bobby's reading TJ's manipulating the score.
I'm challenging. I should have known this anyways. I shouldn't have had to ask because I know TJ knows. I
didn't even make my ruling yet, and TJ's already telling you the challenge.
You did. You said you're going with Tim.
Well, I didn't rule on Tampa yet.
Oh, you're right.
But I actually agree with Bobby on Tampa. I don't love Tampa a lot. I don't really know who to. Mayfield seems hurt. Ibuka, he's not getting balls that are catchable to him. He seems like he's been nursing an injury for a month now. I'm not really in on Cade Otton. You mentioned Cade Otton. I just, he's rarely the guy that, is the tight end that you need. He can be fine, probably not hurt you. Bucky's my favorite play on Tampa, but I'm probably not stacking the Bucks. So I actually I like them in. Okay, I actually agree with Bobby on this one. I agree moving Tampa down. So it's going to be 1-1. But if you want to challenge, by all means, bring TJ in to challenge. If you can just challenge one team, I suppose we can do that too. And
I will just challenge the Saints.
For what it's worth, I agree with the Buccaneers as well. I would probably have them in Mark Sinclair if Wirfs was playing, but with him getting ruled out, it just means only Bucky Irving for me. I would probably have had Saints and Marshall Mathers, but I'm totally okay with O'Shea Jackson. That is my favorite cheap stack of the week of just rolling out Juwan Johnson, Devon Vele with Shuck, and then that's how I can play Irving, Achan, and James Cook all in the same lineup if I want to.
You didn't say Olave?
I have Olave in one of my 3 Shuck teams, but I would rather go Vele Johnson just for straight salary saving. That's how I get JSN or Chase or the 3 running back build.
Like last week with the Jets, basically you're trying to, the same similar thought process. You around it, you get some studs, some players you actually want. So TJ, you're gonna put New Orleans. You're gonna keep New Orleans in the 1 hole. Is that correct? Yeah. All right. Next game up, it's Washington, Minnesota. 43.5 is the total. This is Bobby's board. JJ McCarthy is back. Jaden Daniels is back. This would have been like a fun game. Like if you preseason, like, oh, this could be good. This could be a good game, Washington and Minnesota. Daniels, of course, coming back from his elbow, despite being 3-9, wherever the team happens to be. McLaurin was good last week, and he's still pretty cheap, especially on DK. Justin Jefferson is the cheapest he's been since he's been a rookie, I want to say. 6'9" on DK. But McCarthy has been a stone disaster. So, Bobby, how are we handling the Commanders and the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm interested in the Vikings for sure. I'm not the Vikings, sorry. I'm interested in the Commanders. Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, I think it's a very interesting stack on the slate. It is indoors, right? And everyone's going to be kind of dealing with the weather. So I don't mind the indoor situation. I know the Vikings are pretty good defense. They'll probably be blitzing, knowing Flores. I would imagine that it'll allow Daniels to use his legs and get outside of the pocket. I think he's going to be looking to it very cheap. Terry McLaurin at 5,200. I'm going to get, if I say where I want to put them, because I feel like I'm just
firing. You did New Orleans. Well, why would you stop now?
Why would I stop now? Let's go O'Shea Jackson again with Washington, Terry McLaurin, and Jaden Daniels. I'm very interested in today. So they're going to go up top for me. Yeah. In Minnesota, Minnesota's a tough one. I'm going to throw Minnesota in Marshall Mathers. You know, Eminem, the old Eminem guy.
Yeah. I made the board.
I don't like playing JJ McCarthy. I hate it.
You did a deep dive on him once. I think you said he stinks, if I'm not mistaken.
He stinks.
Yeah.
He's not that good.
It's still relevant. That deep dive is still relevant.
Justin Jefferson, super cheap. Hawkinson's down at 3.3. Addison at 4.9. I don't want to do it, but I feel like it's viable, mainly because of Justin Jefferson's price. So for me, they're going to go in Marshall Mathers, and I know I'm probably losing a point, but I'm fine with it.
You have your integrity. That matters.
I have my integrity. That's all that matters, and that's all you got in this world, Dean.
You got nothing but your word, right? Your word is your bond.
Yeah.
Tim, are we going to shuffle these teams around? Or we go with Washington being in O'Shea Jackson and Minnesota up there with Marshall Mathers?
Washington's going to go in Marshall Mathers for me. Minnesota's going to go in Aubrey Graham. I just have no faith in J.J. McCarthy. I don't have any faith in Justin Jefferson either. I don't care that he's cheap. I don't like the vibes of this team. If there was a matchup that JJ McCarthy could beat, it should be this one. I just can't do it. I'm just not going to be playing this. It's simming decently. It's simming really well on FanDuel. Frankly, I just don't care. I'm just not clicking it. So I'm going to go Minnesota in the Aubrey Graham tier, and then Washington, Marshall Mathers. I am high on Washington. I love Terry McLaurin today. I think you can play him on both sites. He's way too cheap on DraftKings, 5,200. Jaden Daniels, he's fine. You can play him naked. It's just, you're not getting to any of this backfield, so that kind of eliminates a big part of the stack. It's really just Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin who I am high on today. So I don't mind putting them in the Marshall Mathers tier.
So Bobby had a 2-0 lead. It is now 2-2. I will agree with Tim on both of these. What do you guys think? Have you guys looked at Jaden Daniels' rushing prop today? I was curious what it was. What would you guess it is as far as his over-under rushing prop in the player prop streets? Anybody want to throw out a number?
I don't know.
It's
I'm not
35.
a prop guy. Yeah, I was gonna say like 30, but yeah.
His rushing attempts is 7.5. The juice is on the over. 10 attempts, 8 attempts, 10, 8, 7, 11. That's this season. Every game except for one, he got over that. And rushing yards, he's been over 35 most games as well. I guess there's a little bit baked in. What's your apprehension, Bobby, as far as Daniels running today?
I think he's going to run. He's going to have to use his legs if they're blitzing from pretty much everywhere. So why, you know what I mean? I have no issue with it.
I think he runs too.
I think Daniels, I would consider Daniels in cash if I was playing cash games today.
He's definitely that. I mean, that's what optimals are spitting out right now. He's definitely the kind of considered the cash game guy.
Not on FanDuel, on DK, right?
Yeah, on DK. Yeah. DK.
Yeah, I'm playing DK. I'm not playing.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify for those listening. He's better priced on DK.
He's way better priced.
Yeah, you can play him in tournaments on FanDuel. By all means, have that and enjoy yourself. But for cash, he's just more optimal on DraftKings. Okay. let's scoot along. That's 2 games down. Third game on the board. This is Tim's board. Pittsburgh at Baltimore, 42.5 is the total. Baltimore, 7-point favorite here. Lamar, we're trying to make it happen. I tried to make it happen on Thanksgiving. To be fair, I guess, there's one touchdown we got taken away because they call the phantom, OPI for the Zay Flowers touchdown. He's also not allowed to score touchdowns. And then, Isaiah Likely was going to score. He was an inch or so away. So his day could have looked a lot better, although the rushing has still not been there. Nobody's playing Lamar Jackson, which I think is interesting. Whenever nobody's playing him. It's also December, and Derrick Henry is the running back here for the Ravens, and it sets up, for a Henry game, home favorite, 6 points or more. Tim, Steelers, Ravens, what do you got?
I will put Baltimore in the Mark Sinclair tier. Like you said, nobody be playing Lamar, so I think he does have some GPP viability there at 6,700. 4% ownership, so I don't mind that. Derrick Henry, I think, is an okay GPP play as well. You can always get to some Mark Andrews, but really, this game does not thrill me that much. So I'm going to keep Baltimore in the very, very middle. And then Pittsburgh, dead last for me. I'm going to put them in the Olivia Cockburn tier. Really I don't see who you can really play here for Pittsburgh. You're not going to be playing Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to be playing in this backfield. That wide receiver core is a mess. Same thing with the tight end core. So, for fantasy, Pittsburgh is just, I just don't see how you can really play them. So Pittsburgh, I'm completely out on. They're a pretty clear bottom tier team for me.
Bobby, any issues?
No, I'm in full agreement. It's pretty much a catch me up, I would say. I think Tim broke it down pretty well.
You don't think that Lamar in large field stuff, especially stuff that has it's loaded up top, Millie Maker style, you just not into it? You just not buying it? You think he's hurt and there's just no ceiling right now? No,
I think it's fine where it is in the middle tier. I don't love it. Am I supposed to bounce it up to Marshall Mathers?
No. I figured you play more tournament.
I'm going to be slightly overweight on it, but very slightly, and it's only.
I'm putting them in the middle tier just because of ownership. I don't love them, but they are going to be really, really low owned, and they do have upside. So I'm kind of factoring that in by putting them in the middle because in a vacuum, I think they're pretty close to that fourth tier. Pretty close to that Aubrey Graham tier, but due to the fact that they're be contrarian, does bump them up for me one level.
So I'm a little bit different. I think they could be in the Marshall Mathers tier, but I'm not in love with them. So I would bump them up, but I'm leaving them where they are because I think that's where I think that's appropriate. I'm not in love with them, but I think they're better for tournaments, obviously.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Oh, the people are asking for a third clue. Let's give a third clue for today's Superstar Sunday. This is where it might get interesting. We'll see. I don't think we have a winner just yet, unless I missed it in the Discord channel. It is not Chris Paul. Tough week for Chris Paul. It's not John Elway or The Rock or Jack Nicklaus or Shaq or John Lynch. John Lynch, Superstar. Andrew Luck, Christian McCaffrey. Third clue. The first two are Feel and Tree. The third clue to get you there, again, get the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord, live stream chat channel. Third clue is nice. Feel, tree, and nice. That is our 3 clues. Tell me what superstar I'm talking about. Be the first to do so. 1 guess per clue drop. Get yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. Bobby, you are up. It is the Jets. The Jets are home to Miami. 19.5 total for the Jets. They're 2.5-point dogs here. Low total, 41.5. Miami in the cold, historically not great. Achane, of course, projecting great. Tua, kind of terrible. Tyrod, he wasn't necessarily amazing, but his salary and his partners, namely A.D. Mitchell, got you there. He did spike up a little bit as far as the Mitchell asking price. I believe first time around, Mason Taylor did get a touchdown against his dad's former team, so there's another tight end that people aren't thinking about. Darren Waller came back. I think he just missed scoring a touchdown. He was in the end zone with just 1 foot, if I'm not mistaken. A couple of cheap tight end options here in this game. I feel like Waddle's been a little disappointing. That's just me. But he projects pretty well today. Bobby, Dolphins, Jets. Lots of fights in the stands. I can guarantee you that. Anything else, I don't know. But how are you feeling about this game, Bobby?
Miami, I'm going to put in Olivia Cockburn. Only Achane for me. I'm probably going to be underweight the field to Achane. Now the Jets are somewhat interesting. I don't really know what I want to do with the Jets. Like I like Tyrod Taylor. I don't want to go too high with them, but I'm in on AD Mitchell, which also after seems super chasey after last week. They're cheap, right? I'm going to put the Jets and Marshall Mathers. Tyrod to AD Mitchell would probably be my favorite stack. Brees is the best play from the Jets. I don't think that's really a question. And then Mason Taylor can kind of complete that double at 3-3. So if you wanted to double stack it, like John Mechie's there at 4,500. No, yeah, sorry. John Mechie's there at 4,500. They're a fine cheap stack, and I don't mind Taylor. 4,900 for Taylor, I think, is interesting. If people are paying up at quarterback, it's a way to build differently. So I'm fine with the Jets and Marshall Mathers.
All right, Tim. Bobby has the Jets in tier 2 and the Dolphins all the way in the gutter, tier 5 with Pittsburgh. What say you?
Yeah, Dolphins are in the gutter for me. It's just Achane. I played Tua last week, which was so horrible. He's so bad. I'm not doing that again this year. I'm even a little bit bearish on Jalen Waddle, despite the fact that he is popping in autos, at least on FanDuel. I don't really love him today. So I'm really completely out on this Dolphins team outside of Achane. So I'm fine with them in the gutter. I'm actually going to boost the Jets all the way up to O'Shea Jackson. I think that
Jets in the Saints.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't agree with the Saints, which is fine. I mean, it's fine. People can do what they want. But yeah, I mean, I think as long as Tyrod Taylor is below 5K, he's got some pretty strong rushing upside. I love Breece Hall today. He's one of my favorite running backs on the entire board. We can go back to AD Mitchell, I think, with confidence here at 4,600. I don't care if he's going to be chalky. I love him. Mechie is fine as a contrarian GPP play as well. So, I mean, Taylor doubles are firmly in play here. I like that the Jets are at home here. This is a spot where I think the Dolphins could struggle. So I'm very, very high on Taylor. If I don't pay up for Allen in single entry, I might very well just play Tyrod.
Yeah, all the way up or all the way down. I don't disagree with the Jets being pretty playable today. I just wouldn't put them in 1. I think tier 2 is the appropriate spot for them personally. So
Tim, you have a challenge.
Well, he can use it when he wants to.
It's a little early. It's a little early in the day for my challenge.
TJ didn't give away that he's a challenge or not. TJ's playing favorites today. But, yeah, I would move the Jets back to tier 2 with Marshall Mathers. And, people they wanted Mike McDaniel fired a month ago. What he's doing with Tua, who's so broken, is a miracle. He should be coach of the year, getting wins.
Tua is so awful.
Terrible.
I'm so mad that I played him last week. That was such an awful decision.
He's not a functioning quarterback. And the cold's not going to help him, right? Honestly, I'm being genuine. Like what he's doing with Tua, he's doing an excellent coaching job. He's doing.
I agree with you, Dean. Like Tua is atrocious.
Terrible. I don't want to say he's JJ McCarthy terrible, but he might be in that area. He's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, and that contract is a complete stone disaster. What do you got, TJ?
Not considering contract or age, I would take JJ McCarthy over Tua.
Yeah.
With contract and age, not even close. But not considering them, I think I'd still go JJ over Tua just because he can move around.
It's so bad. And Tua, I understand why he has the yips and he doesn't want to get hit, and I get it. Goes back to what I said before about playing half speed. Whatever. It's a whole different conversation. Maybe he shouldn't be playing at all. But yeah, he's really bad. He's really, really bad too. And again, Miami being functionable is a compliment to McDaniel and Achane. Okay, Jets. So that means that Bobby gets the points. Bobby gets the point. So we're at 3-2 Bobby. Tim, your board I don't think we have a winner just yet as far as Superstar Sunday. Let me just confirm. Let's see. It's not Kevin Durant or Austin Matthews or Richard Sherman. Not Steph Curry or Jared Allen, Kevin Love, Serena Williams, not Tiger Woods or Bo Jackson. Or, I think I covered them all. I don't think we have any winners. Not Robert Woods, Superstar? I see what you're doing with Tree, but no. Dion Branch, I see what you're doing with Tree as well. Also not a Superstar.
Interesting, yeah.
But
I would argue Dion Branch could have been a superstar.
Okay, but that's not it's not could have been a Superstar Sunday.
Here we go, Bobby.
And in what world could he have been a super? He was a good role player.
13 passes in the Super Bowl and won Super Bowl MVP.
Okay, he had a good Super Bowl. Good for him. Didn't he play both ways? Weren't they so desperate in the
No,
secondary?
that was Troy Brown, Dean.
Who is it?
Troy Brown.
That's who it was. Okay.
My favorite player. Yeah.
Really? Troy Brown's your favorite player?
He was, yeah, when I was a kid, yeah.
Interesting. Didn't know that. All right. So let's move along. The next game we're talking about. Tim, it's your board. The Colts, the Jags. Has the total dropped in this at all? We're expecting a heavy dose of precipitation. 45.5 is the total. This is the weirdest game for me, Tim. I don't know what to do with it. T-Law projects well. He's just kind of getting there with his rushing touchdowns. Parker Washington not playing. We saw Myers was good last week. BTJ, we're still waiting for him to be good. Strange has been pretty good since coming back from injury. Daniel Jones is playing with somewhat of a broken leg. I don't know if that's exaggeration, but something going on with that fibula. He's not running. Jonathan Taylor, best running back in football, arguably. And he's got so many pass catchers. I don't even know who to pair Jones with. But theoretically, this game could get loose. But Pittman and Pierce, Tyler Warren projects really well. I don't think the line is moving. Again, I'll pull up the weather report, what Roth is saying. I'll let the people read it. I'll drop it in chat. But this is full on orange. It might pour all game. Again, Roth will give an update. We're still almost 3 hours out. So this stuff does change. Does this affect your thoughts right now, Tim? Colts, Jags.
Yeah, this is the game where weather does bother me the most here on the slate. I had a little bit of interest here in Trevor Lawrence. He's still priced quite affordably, so I think you still get to him. I think Jacoby Myers is interesting as well. I always have interest in Brenton Strange. But just due to the weather here, I'm going to put Jacksonville. It's really close between Mark Sinclair and Aubrey Graham. I'm going to go Mark Sinclair. And then for Indianapolis, I'm going to go just because I don't mind Jonathan Taylor anytime. Warren is okay as well. I think Mark Sinclair both. Both of these teams are talented enough here, but I think that this rain could affect things. I am worried about Daniel Jones's leg. But I think there's some ceiling here. So I'm going to have to – they're just both average for me. Yeah, I'm going to go both Mark Sinclair.
Just wanted to get the most recent line on scores and odds. I don't think it's been – it's still holding at 45.5. The under does have the juice for what it's worth, but – yeah, Vegas does not seem terribly concerned. It was at 46.5 earlier in the week, so not a big dip when it comes to that total. Both teams in the middle. Tim is just throwing his hands up here, Bobby. He's basically punting it to you.
I'm both down to Aubrey Graham. Daniel Jones, you can pair him with – I think Pittman's the interesting one, 5,400. No one likes to click Pittman. He's relatively cheap, but the weather here is terrible. I don't want to play really anyone in this game. Alec Pierce is phenomenal. I don't. He climbed the ladder to make a catch. I think it was last week, and I was like, wow, I didn't even know how athletic this guy was. And then Tyler Warren, like 5K, he's fine. I just don't want to play this game if I don't have to. And then from the Jacksonville side, like I like Jacksonville earlier in the week. I really don't. I know Trevor Lawrence worked out last week for a lot of people. I really have a tough time getting to anyone on Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, fine. Strange is like the chalk tight end if you're pivoting off of Pitts, and why I would keep that like stack in the Arboregram, but I don't know. I just no real interest in this game.
Yeah, this is the one I'm kind of afraid of not having enough of because I'm with you, Bobby. I'm afraid it can get loose, and I feel like it could. I feel like if this game was an Indy, I'd have a different thought process. But I don't think I'm going to
if this game was in a dome, I'd have a whole lot more interest in this.
Yeah, me too. That's what I'm saying. But
I mean, if it's really going to pour all game, I have concerns over that. Way more concerns over that than the whole snow situation in other games.
Pierce is kind of like the deep ball guy, and I would imagine that would be a little trickier if it's raining. I'm going to agree with Bobby on both and just kind of hope he's right.
Whoa!
I just I don't think I would have a lot of.
That's a big point my way. 2 points.
Yeah, that's a big 2 points right there.
I don't want to say the lead is insurmountable, but it's 5-2. 5-2, Bobby.
What is going on here?
I always blow the lead anyways if I have it.
Bobby
You're
shouldn't
like
be
the Atlanta
allowed.
Falcons,
Bobby
I
should be allowed to have 2 coffees before the show. He's unstoppable with that much caffeine.
By the way, for today's superstar, I don't know if I should share what TJ said or not, because I feel like it could be a little bit misleading, but maybe not. TJ, if you want to share that clue, if you want to share your thoughts, and I see what you're saying, but it might also throw people off the scent a little bit.
Who was it that Bobby said could have been a superstar?
No, you were talking about the actual answer, correct?
I know, but that's what brought it up to me is like,
I think if Deion Branch didn't leave the Patriots, he would be a superstar. Yeah.
And I think there are arguments to be made that this person could be in that tier too, of they could have been or could be a superstar, but they're not necessarily in that tier right now.
Who's this? Wait, what are you talking about?
Today's answer. I was just trying to see if to give a little clarity, a little bit of a clue, possibly.
I want to check. Did Deion Branch win Super Bowl MVP? I mean, why is it in my head that he won Super Bowl?
He did win Super Bowl MVP.
We did, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to Deion
Yeah,
Branch.
that was a really big. He just chose to get paid when he just could have rode the Patriots wave, and he was pretty much going to be the slot guy. You might never hear of Wes Welker in that instance.
And didn't the Dolphins cut Wes Welker? I feel like the
Dolphins cut him, after he torched the Patriots in week 2 of whatever year that was. Yeah.
The Dolphins made a weird bad decision, turns out.
Yeah. If you were the GM of the Dolphins, Dean, they would be a good team.
No, I mean I wouldn't.
I think you could be better than their current team.
I don't pretend to be that guy that I think I'm smart.
But you just have to have some. I don't know. They've made a lot. Let's give Tua $200 million. I can tell you right now, don't do that.
I wouldn't have done that. I'll say that. I wouldn't have done that. I'm not saying what else I would have got right. I'm sure I got a lot of stuff wrong, but I would not have said, yeah, we got to extend this guy. Let's commit to maybe at best the 18th best quarterback in the league for the next 5 years. If everything falls our way. Okay. Next game is Seattle and Atlanta in a dome. 44.5. That is our total here. This is Bobby's board. Seahawks 6-point favorites, West Coast to East Coast. Defense was phenomenal last week. They did, just abuse Max Brosmer. Will we ever hear the name Max Brosmer again? Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, JSN didn't do much last week because he didn't have to. The defense basically controlled the entire game. I've heard Barner thrown out as a cheap tight end. I don't know if I love that. He is kind of their tush push guy as well. Sometimes there's a little bit of an added bonus there. We are getting one of the chalkier tight ends, if not the chalkiest, like Kyle Pitts as far as Atlanta. Still no Drake London, still Kirk Cousins throwing footballs for the Falcons. Bobby, how do we have the Seahawks and the Falcons?
Yeah, so I know that I'm going to get killed for this, so I'm losing 2 points here. Atlanta, I'm not playing Olivia Cockburn. The only piece I'm playing is Kyle Pitts. Literally the only piece. Let me see if I'm getting any Bijan. I just want to make sure. I'm getting Bijan will be in my pool. It'll be underweight. None of their receivers really stand out to me at all. I don't want to play ever play Kirk Cousins. Pitts is the only one that I'm willing to play. It's mainly a pricing thing at 4,200, and that's about it. And then I know I lose here because you guys love the Seahawks, and I'm more middle of the road, Mark Sinclair on the Seahawks, and I'm forfeiting a point. I like JSN. I think both Chase and Puka are better plays than him today, just because I don't think they have to throw. Kenneth Walker is a play I'm interested in. I probably more, not more than JSN, but I'm above the field on Walker. versus JSN. I'm not playing Darnold because I don't know if they're going to have to throw a ton. Yeah, I'm just not I'm not like all over the Seahawks. Like I know I should. They're in a dome. Like I should be there. I'm just not getting there. I know that I lose a point because of it.
Tim?
I'm putting Seahawks and Marshall Mathers. I love Darnold doubles. I love Kenneth Walker. I love JSN. You can just play as a one-off. I really like the Seahawks today. I'm fine with Atlanta in the Olivia Cockburn tier. Other than Kyle Pitts, I'm not playing in Atlanta. So I'm fine with them there. But I think that I think Darnold has a huge bounce back spot here. So I'm pretty high on Seattle here. So Marshall Mathers for me.
You say Seattle doubles. I assume you mean JSN and Barner. Is that the most likely double you'll get to?
Yeah, that's the most likely one. Definitely. Yep.
I am going to agree with Tim. I also agree with Bobby. You go, doesn't matter because you guys both agree putting Atlanta in tier 5, but Tim does get a point back here. Tim's got 3. Bobby's got 5. We'll move along. Bobby, Tim, you're lucky. You have Tennessee and Cleveland. Very excited about that one for sure. I should mention the 3-day pass. 3-day pass promo that's still going on. You get half off a 3-day NFL pass, access to everything you need to crush the slate, all the bells, all the whistles, everything you're looking at on the screen when you're not looking at us. You get yourself lineup HQ, you get player projections, ownership projections, much, much more. SimLabs, NFL, easiest way to build smart competitive lineups in just a few clicks. Less than $10, $9.99 there. Do not miss your chance to get a serious edge this week. I also need to mention, if I can find the promo, it's hiding here someplace, the Missouri promo. We have all the links in the world. TJ.
I was just going to say, yeah, there's not all the Missouri sports betting is legal now. All the links for the best promos in the description. That's all.
Can I point something out quick here? First of all, Broccoli Boy, I never said JSN over Puka and Chase. I said Chase and Puka over JSN. And Bobby Fi in chat said, anyone concerned about Atlanta being the second best team against the pass in the NFL? And yeah, I'm the guy who's concerned. I didn't have the Seahawks and in Marshall Mathers. I had them in Mark Sinclair, but I should have probably noted that they were pretty good against the pass. I just didn't know they were number 2.
I have JSN ahead of, you're talking about playing, and I get it. You're talking about Chase, and I understand as a run back, if nothing else. He probably loses a little bit, I guess, with Higgins also returning. I guess a little bit less attention being paid to him. We'll talk about that once and enough. And the thing with Puka, of course, he's incredible, but he doesn't catch touchdowns. I want to say the red zone targets, or maybe goal line targets. I think in goal, it's like 27-2 this season. Don't quote me on those numbers, but that's about right. Devontae Adams versus Puka, which is just crazy. Now, of course, Puka is going to catch more balls, but touchdowns, turns out they're worth more.
Can I say this also? It isn't Adams versus Puka. It's Adam versus Kyron Williams. He's completely made Williams irrelevant, especially with Blake Corum.
I mean, it's been thrown out there, and it makes a lot of sense that they're trying to pad Stafford's touchdowns. If they could push a button, is this going to be a throwing touchdown or a rushing touchdown? They would push the throwing touchdown because they want Stafford to get MVP possibly. Although
Drake May is the MVP.
I think Drake May has jumped him, if I'm not mistaken.
Drake May is the MVP. I don't think it's.
Well, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a battle depending on the next 3 or 4 games, right? You think for sure it's Drake May?
I just think Drake May is going to play better than Stafford the next 3 games.
He might.
He's better. He's the best quarterback in the league right
now. Fourth clue for Superstar Sunday: feel, tree, nice. Fourth clue: insect. Insect is the fourth clue. Feel, tree, nice, insect. Get in that Discord. Tell me what today's superstar is. Get excited, Tim. You're talking about the Titans and the Browns. 33.5 is the total. Team total for the Titans, 14.5. For Cleveland, it's 19 if you're doing the math. Judkins projects pretty well. He's kind of got like that Derrick Henry thing where, home favorite. You need the script to go his way. If they fall behind, you're in trouble. But he can run for 100 yards here theoretically and get in the box a couple times. Fanning another cheap tight end. Looks like he's jumped over Njoku, who did not want to leave. He wanted to stay in Cleveland, so he was not traded Not sure how many suitors there were either. But, yeah, Tim, snow also expected here in Cleveland. 33.5 total. What do you got?
The Browns are actually going to be in the Aubrey Graham tier. I was thinking I was just going to put them both on the bottom, but I mean, I think you have to have some interest in Judkins here. I think you have to have some interest in Fannin. So I'm going to put Cleveland in Aubrey Graham, and then Tennessee is easily Olivia Cockburn here. Like, I just don't see a world where we're not just going to be fully excluding them from our pool. I don't think you can play Cam Ward here. I don't think you're getting to any of the running backs or wide receivers. So it's just I don't see a world where we're going to be playing any Tennessee. So I think they're a pretty easy bottom tier team.
Bobby?
Yeah, I agree with Tim. Judkins for Cleveland, I think, is interesting. Outside of that, no interest. Tennessee and Cockburn, I don't have any.
Yeah, if there is a stack, it's for me, Judkins and Cleveland defense. That's the stack. You know, if you're going to call that a stack, that's a stack. And Tennessee is a cheap tight end, a cheap defense, as like the punt off defense. I think is fine as well. Them and Minnesota are basically the same price on FanDuel. I was kind of going back and forth on both of those as far as my cheap defense. I don't have a clear lean, but you know, they're amongst the nonsense if you don't want to spend up on defenses. Okay, Bobby, next game. We're starting. This is the last of the 1 o'clock games. There's 8 1 o'clock games. There's 3 late games. We'll get to that momentarily. Biggest total on the board, Bobby, as far as overall total, 53.5. Cincinnati at Buffalo. Buffalo's got a 30-point team total. Not moving as far as the numbers when it comes to the projected snow. Actually, again, I hit refresh, and it is 54.5. So the number has gone up, if nothing else, despite projected snow there. And that is, you know, no wind. No wind is the real big story, I think. You tell me, Bobby. You've kind of mentioned several times how much you like Jamar Chase. I assume you like both teams in this game, but where do you want to place them on the old tier board?
Cincy and O'Shea Jackson. I know the weather's bad there. Don't really care. Like Burrow. Fine with him and Chase as a stack. I like T. Higgins as well. I just think you try to get to Cincy. I mean, the game environment, if it's going to be snow, it's on the surface, it wouldn't look like it's the greatest game environment, but I think it's a pretty strong one for the Cincinnati Bengals. I know projections are going to push a lot of people to the Josh Allen stuff. I personally don't think I'm going to be too interested in Josh Allen. I'm going to put the Bills and Mark Sinclair just because, like, I hate trying to figure out who am I stacking Josh Allen with, where I just know Burrow, it's Chase, Higgins, done pretty much. You can say, like, from there, with the Bills, it's more like who's playing tight end, who I want to get to at the tight end position. Usually Kincaid. But I think Kincaid's out, right? Is Kincaid out or?
No, he's going to play.
He's going to play.
So it would be Kincaid.
He plans to try to play.
Yeah.
Is that a Rappaport tweet?
That was a direct quote from Kincaid.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but it was like a direct quote.
Okay.
It's like the same thing. It could be Shakir. Like I don't really know. I don't really know who's the best person to stack him with. It seems like a lot of people are going to pay up for Allen. I would just rather field Allen or be underweight on Allen and play a little bit more James Cook and not really interested in the stack.
I plan to try to win money at DFS today. That's the plan, at least. So Buffalo in the middle, Tim. Buffalo in the middle, Mark Sinclair, Vin Diesel, and the Bengals. Bobby flipping it. Got the Bengals up there in tier 1. What say you?
I like that he put Cincinnati in the O'Shea Jackson tier, but I'm also going to put Buffalo there as well. These are both top tier teams for me. Love going Burrow, one of Chase or Higgins with James Cook. I don't mind playing Allen and Cook together. Just give yourself exposure to all the Buffalo touchdowns against this very, very leaky Cincinnati defense. I get what Bobby's saying, though. It's hard to know who to stack Allen with, but I think he's too strong of a play, and this is too good of a spot. So I'm going to just I'm going to be getting to some Buffalo here in single entry and in cash. So I think both these teams deserve to be in the O'Shea Jackson tier.
I agree with you, Tim. The only issue is like we say stacking, and I don't know how you stack Josh Allen. I don't know if you need to stack Josh Allen. We know that you get to Cincinnati via the tight ends. They're actually pretty good against receivers, and this collection of receivers is terrible for Buffalo. So I don't really know if I need Shakir, or I'm not going to play the Coleman or Shavers or Davis. It's really, really hard to figure out.
The point, Dean. We play stacks, Dean.
Well, I don't make 150 lineups, and I can't like put each one of those guys on 10% of my lineups or 10% of my Josh Allen teams. And just the floor is so dicey.
Give me the point. I'm asking for the point. Just shoot it over here.
But like Josh Allen and Cook is kind of an interesting stack, and Josh Allen.
I was gonna say that's a stack.
Yeah,
we correlate. Yeah,
I'm good, and Cook's getting the ball more in the air of late as well.
You have 3 running backs there. Ty Johnson goes in.
I know. I mean, yeah, Ray Davis you're really rounding up there, but I hear you.
I was going to say Ray Davis does not exist. I have
Ray Davis has been more. Ray Davis's usage has gone up over the last 3 weeks.
Is Ray Davis in your player pool?
Test tells me it has.
Is Ray Davis in your player pool?
No.
Oh, okay. How many lineups? I mean, you're not playing Ray Davis. He might get a pinch, right?
I would never play him. I'm not playing him.
Yeah. So he's wearing a uniform, and he might, I suppose, he can get on the field a little bit. He did have 9 carries last week. They were up huge against Pittsburgh.
Ticking up. I just said it was ticking up.
It might have been mop-up duty because he didn't touch the ball in previous games. But I appreciate you lobbing, Bobby, and I kind of go back and forth on it. But I just think Allen and Cook are so good and I do like the tight ends. I think you can still play Knox officially. Cincinnati gives up the tight ends. They give them the tight end twos as well. They do not discriminate. Let's talk about the 4:00 games. We do have a winner in the Discord, by the way. Shout out in the Discord to BHand4987. 5th clue, just for fun, is goose. Goose. Feel, tree, nice, insect, and goose. We'll explain that soon enough. Tim, board is yours. Bears, Packers, 43.5. That's the total. Packers are 7-point favorites here. We do have Jaden Reed coming back. So Bears, Green Bay. One of the bigger totals on the board here, Tim. Another team that's kind of tricky to figure out with receivers, and Reed dices it up a little bit. Watson, the most popular, pretty clearly. And Jacobs, if we want to spend up at running back, certainly is there as well. Big game for the Packers and the Bears. What say you, Tim?
Dean, you always skip a game just to make sure that I'm paying attention. But yeah, we can go to Chicago, Green Bay if you want to.
What game did I skip?
You skipped the Denver Raiders game.
Okay. It's also 4:00, but you're right. I did. Yeah, you're right. Fair enough.
Yeah. So we will do Chicago, Green Bay. Yes. I mean, this is an interesting question when we talk about stacks, right? Like, I'm not going to be playing Caleb Williams. I'm not going to be playing the split backfield on a main slate anyway. So, it's really Luther Burden here for value. Colston Loveland, again, another really strong value piece. I think DJ Moore is very interesting for large field GPPs on both DK and FanDuel. But in terms of stacks, really, this is not some kind of great team here. So I'm going to put Chicago in the Aubrey Graham tier. And then Green Bay. Yeah, it's tough. I do like Josh Jacobs here quite a bit. I love Christian Watson, especially on FanDuel. He's really, really cheap over there. Probably not going to be getting too much Jordan Love here, even though he's still under 6K. But it's really just Watson and Jacobs for me here. Again, don't love this game. I think I'm going to put Green Bay. Maybe I do like their team total here. So maybe I'll put Green Bay and Mark Sinclair. So Chicago, Aubrey Graham, Green Bay, Mark Sinclair.
Yeah, and I should have mentioned we basically talked around it, but Odunze is not playing today for Chicago, making Luther Burton one of the more popular cheapies at receiver, and Loveland gets a bit of a boost as well amongst the cheap tight ends. Bobby, what say you?
I agree with Tim's analysis. Like, I'm not just going to reiterate everything, so we can move to the next game.
Are you getting to DJ Moore in your pool, Bobby? I'm curious about that.
Not DJ Moore, Burden, but I get DJ Moore. I actually have like one team with DJ Moore, but Burden for sure.
Is he good chalk?
I think he's good chalk, yeah. 3,800. I think he's good chalk. I'm getting him slightly over the field.
Your favorite receiver under 4K? Is it Burden? Who else would it be?
It would be Burden, yeah. It would be Burden.
Yeah.
I think Vele's in the mix, but definitely Burden. Christian Watson, I'm fine being over on. I think that's a really strong play. He's not under 4K, obviously. He's 5'2". Yeah,
Pat Bryant. I mean, we haven't talked about that game yet, but Pat Bryant, I think, is super interesting.
Yeah, Pat Bryant was the next one. I'm slightly under on Pat Bryant, but like if he's 5%, I'll have 4. Mechie, what's Mechie's price?
He's in the 4s.
I'm
He's
under
in the 4s now.
But like,
AD Mitchell's the one from the Jets that I think you want to be getting to.
Yeah. I mean, he's also graduated from the 3s, but yeah, for sure. He's one of the cheaper receivers. That's going to be pretty popular. Okay. We got about 10 more minutes, 15 minutes, depending on when the next grouping comes in. It is GPP Final Takes. You got Neil Orfield, Beimfohr, Jordan Vanek. They're jumping in here about 15 minutes or so. Do hit that like button, do subscribe, do turn on those notifications, hit all those buttons to help us keep the lights on. Tim was very excited to talk about the Rams. No, not the Rams. The Denver and the Raiders, but this actually is going to be Bobby. Bobby's going to open it up for us. 40.5 total. The Raiders at a 16.5 team total. Crosby expected to play today. I know he didn't practice all week for what it's worth. RJ Harvey, one of the more popular mid-tier running backs. Bowers, certainly his ceiling is incredible. He was spectacular last week. The catch he made in the end zone was completely absurd, but he's kind of held back to some degree by the ineptitude of his team surrounding him. But, he overcame it last week. Of course, the Denver defense is pretty tough. Bobby, Raiders, Broncos, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't love this game from a stacking perspective. I know a lot of people are pretty bullish on RJ Harvey. I'm fine. I like Harvey better than I like the stack. 5,700 for Harvey, but I don't love Harvey. I'm slightly over on Harvey. If it's a stacking game, then I'm going to put Denver in Aubrey Graham, not playing Bo Nix. Really, I understand why people are getting to guys like Pat Bryant, but I don't know. I'm just really not. I think it's more like the running game. You can play Cortland Sutton, obviously, if you want to pair him with Nix. Where am I going to put Denver? I'll put Denver and Aubrey Graham as well. I'm not as interested in this game as most people. Would more be the running game for Denver that I think stands out.
Okay, so both teams in tier 4.
Oh, and then sorry, the rate for the Raiders, I do like Genty more than most. It seemed at the top of the show we weren't really interested in Genty. So Genty and Harvey are the two guys that stand out, but really no interest outside those two. I think Bowers is a tournament play, but not getting to a ton of Bowers. Aubrey Graham.
Tim, I don't want this to affect how you play the game. So you are down 5-4. There's only one game left. You do have a challenge left as well, just kind of reminding you. You can challenge TJ, will be the official ruler. But yeah, we have both teams hanging out in tier 4, Aubrey Graham, Drake.
I'm going to put Denver in Mark Sinclair. I don't mind RJ Harvey. I don't mind Pat Bryant. I think this is a really good spot for Denver just in general, whether you want to stream their defense or not and pair it with RJ Harvey. I was considering putting the Raiders down a tier, but I can't quite do it just because Genty and Bowers are talented enough that they can potentially beat this defense. But I'll tell you, I'm not as high on Genty as Bobby is, and that's okay. That's why we play the game. I'm just not going to be – I hate this offense. I respect this defense too. So it's just I'm going to move Denver up a tier, and that's it. I'll leave Raiders right where Bobby put them.
I'm going to have I'm going to bring TJ in. I'm going to make the ruling in this one because I'm kind of torn because I think Harvey and the defense is kind of a stack as well. I did want to get Bobby's take here in a second. Our guy,
I think that's fine as a stack. If that's the case, if Harvey and the defense is a stack, so yeah, it works.
TJ, where do you want to put Denver? Do you agree with the shuffle here? I think I like them in 3 because I'm Harvey in the. If I'm going to play them together, I think if I'm going to play Harvey, I'm trying to get Denver's defense. I'm going to try to get that at least.
Yeah, I like Denver in tier 3, 1 for the Harvey Broncos thing, but also I like Bo Nix stacks today. Like, I do find it tough to know which 2 to choose between Sutton, Franklin, and
Ingram.
Bryant. No, I'm not playing Ingram. And Bryant, and then you throw it, and then you throw in the possibility of Marvin Mims catching a deep one too. So like that does make it tough. But I did just in one of my 20 lineups do a game stack where I played all 3 of those Broncos receivers with Nix, played Genty and Bowers in that lineup as well. And just like that's basically the entirety of my exposure to that game.
6 pieces. You just hope for the game to get completely loose. So we're tied at 5, boys. One more game to go. Do want to add some clarity to today's Superstar Sunday. Do want to shout out our winner. Let you guys know how we got there. That's B Hand 4987. The 5 clues were as follows. As I pull them up here, my 5 clues are Superstar Sunday. So feel was the first clue. So it this is what basically tells you what state we're talking about. Many years ago, there was a movie called Feeling Minnesota, starring Cameron Diaz and Keanu Reeves. It's not good. Don't watch it. But it happened. And also Soundgarden had a song called Feeling Minnesota. They were probably on the soundtrack for that movie. I don't recall if they were or weren't. But that's a thing. It's a saying. Feeling Minnesota. There you go. Clue number 2 is tree. And tree is in reference to what team is, this person plays for. When a tree is falling down, Bobby, what do you yell when a tree is falling down?
I have no idea, Dean.
I should ask Tim.
Timber.
Tim's got some logging experience for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of Train Dreams, it's a slow movie, but it's a good one on Netflix. You got to be in the mood for a slow movie, but it's about a logger in like the 1910s or something like that. But yeah, you yell timber. That's what you do. The other thing about Minnesota, one of the reputations I've never been, I've heard though, and if we're just going to base it off of Neil Orfield, it makes sense. Minnesota nice. You guys ever hear that term before? Minnesota nice? You've heard it before, right? I would imagine so. Yeah. So feel, tree, nice. We're in Minnesota. Insects, well, that could be only one insect we're talking about, an ant. There's other insects too, but Ant-Man, right? And Goose. Goose, of course, was the character in Top Gun, played by...
There's always a Top Gun reference in these clues, by the way. Seems like it's...
No, this is like the first time there's ever been a Top Gun reference. But Anthony Edwards, different Anthony Edwards, not the same guy. It doesn't make sense as far as the timeline. He was also an ER, but he played Goose in Top Gun. And spoiler alert, doesn't end well for Goose. It's been long enough. You should have seen it at this point. But there you go. And TJ says that Anthony Edwards is not a superstar, which I could not believe. But that's what TJ was saying before. At least that's the implication.
What has Anthony Edwards done that puts him in the superstar tier yet?
He's had some good playoff runs.
He's like one of the faces of the league, Anthony Edwards. Okay, he's more of a superstar than Deion Branch.
He is the face of people who've been crowned too early.
Well, I think that's John Morant. But okay.
Well, I mean, I would say John Morant was never in that tier.
I mean, if you ask, he's like a top 10, top 15 player in the league, and he's rising. If he's
I agree. He's a top 10, top 15 player in the league. I just don't consider that superstar.
TJ,
all-star.
TJ, make a poll. Is Anthony Edwards a superstar? Yes or no? Let's let the people speak on it. We shall see. One more game to go. Let's go ahead and knock out this last one. Tim, it's 5-5. Wait,
5-5.
Yeah, 5-5. No pressure. A lot of money. A lot of money riding on this, so make sure you don't screw it up. Rams, Cardinals, 47.5 is the total. We're in a dome. Rams are the second total, biggest team total on the board, 28.5. They're just really, really expensive. Who doesn't love Puka? Who doesn't love Devontae Adams? Stafford feels pretty safe. Brissett's been awesome, at least in the second half. A Rebar stat he dropped on the Pick Six show was that I think it's been over a month since Brissett has had a first half touchdown. It's all been garbage nonsense, and they all count. But can we just keep on assuming that's going to keep happening? They, of course, are really thin. Michael Wilson is one of the first receivers they're putting in your cash lineup, and they keep raising the price for Trey McBride. It's tough, but he is awesome, obviously. Rams, Cardinals, Tim, what say you?
Yeah, this game is the top, one of the top games on the board. Both of these teams easily are going to be an O'Shea Jackson. I know that Derek Hardy, on the blitz game level factors, this game is projected for the most plays on the entire slate. I see multiple ways to stack this game. It's mainly through the passing attack. Obviously, you're playing a ton of Michael Wilson today. You can definitely go back to Brissett here. You can play, Brissett doubles. You can play Stafford doubles here as well. So I absolutely love this game just in general. This game has huge shootout potential. So I think these are clearly both O'Shea Jackson tier teams.
Both teams in tier 1. Bobby, what say you?
Feel the same way. So I feel like I'm blocking, and I get the lead, right?
You answer up.
Whoa!
You're parking the
You
bus?
already
No,
gave
I'm not
us-
parking the bus. Let me get into it. I was going to get into it. I love this bet.
Well, I don't want that to affect. I've been to the score before. I don't want that to affect.
I'll let you guys finish. I was gonna say speak my piece, and
speak your piece. Go ahead.
you said Michael Wilson. I think makes a ton of sense. I like McBride in the flex, so I don't mind the doubles there. See, at $8K for McBride, it's kind of an interesting price tag. Like, we have these 3 receivers that you have to make a decision point on. Chase, Nakua, obviously JSN. Why not just pay to McBride and play a Jacoby Brissett double? You know what I mean? Like, you're already playing. I like McBride a good bit.
Do you run it back one of the receivers? It's just tough because then your running backs are going to take a hit. But
your running backs are being a hit at that point. But yeah, you could probably get to like an Adams, right, and pay down from Puka, try to make something work there.
Yeah.
And then Stafford on the other side, like we know, Puka, Adams, tight end there. They have 4 of them, but it's usually Parkinson, so fine with that. Game environment's great. Up in pace, like this, it's the number 1 game. I would have bumped Buffalo because I feel like our O'Shea Jackson's here is a little loaded. I would have bumped Buffalo to like Marshall Mathers.
Yeah,
I originally had them in Mark Sinclair. I know you guys don't like the Saints, but I think the Saints are actually in a really good spot today.
I like how we have some funky teams up there. Like the Saints, the Jets are in tier 2. We're just gonna call it a draw, I guess. I guess that's what we're doing. We're gonna a tie score.
I was winning. I thought I was winning.
No. The score was tied. I updated the score right before I threw it to you, I believe. So I did let you know what the score was. But you guys are tying 5-5. You're both spectacular. Participation trophies all around for everybody. Do want to give people the recap as far as the board. Again, if you're just joining us, today's tier, the list. I just power ranked celebrity real names. Nothing to do with how I feel about those celebrity or whatever. Just like good name, bad name. I think O'Shea Jackson's a really cool name. Not the best rapping name, I suppose. I guess that's why Ice Cube changed it. But okay, it's loaded up top. Like Bobby said, 5 teams. You got the Saints, imposters up there. The Bengals, Bills, Arizona, and the Rams tier 2. Marshall Mathers, of course, that's Eminem. Good alliteration. Washington, Jets, Seattle. Right smack in the middle. It is Mark Sinclair, who is Vin Diesel to the uninitiated. Right in the middle, tier 3, it's Baltimore, Green Bay, Denver. Tier 4, that's Drake, Aubrey Graham. The most loaded tier we have, it's Tampa, Minnesota, Jacksonville, the Colts, Cleveland, the Bears, and the Raiders. All the way at the bottom, it's Olivia Wilde, Olivia Cockburn. That's Pittsburgh, Miami, Atlanta, and Tennessee. By the way, I tell TJ one simple task: make a poll that says, "Is Anthony Edwards a superstar?" And he has to editorialize, and he says, "Is Anthony Edwards already a superstar?" He's trying to editorialize it. He's still losing the poll, still losing it.
Yeah, because that's what the question was, Dean. The poll isn't what you say it is; it's what the question was, and I stated that I don't.
The already's implied. The already's implied.
The question, pardon me, was. Is he a superstar or is he in a not yet a superstar tier? And so that's why already needs to be a qualifier because that was the original argument.
I just think already is implied in the question. It doesn't seem necessary.
Well, that's why you're not an editor, Dean, because you can't think things are implied. You have to state them in the question.
Well, not all of us wrote for Bleacher Report at like 12. That was DJ was spectacular. Yeah, one of the I think that was his first gig, which is really
TJ
impressive.
wrote for Bleacher Report
At
at
like
12.
12 years old. Maybe he was 13. Did you?
I think 14 was the first time I was officially published.
There you go. Yeah. So maybe you're right. Maybe he already should be in there. Okay, that is our board. We do have is Crunch Time fully assembled? I see them talking here in the private chat. I do see Jordan. I do see Erik. Okay, I guess Neil is lurking as well. But before we seamlessly segue, Tim, give me your favorite stack on the board and somebody, specifically one person, who is breaking the slate.
I'm going to go Jets, favorite stack on the board, and I'm going to go Bucky Irving. It's going to be in the Millie winner.
I like the Bucky Irving call. Bobby, see the Jets and Bucky Irving. What do you got?
Saints favorite stack on the board, Jamar Chase. Breaks
There it is. All right, let's do it. Let's seamlessly segue. We do have the next group fully assembled. It is GPP Final Takes, Erik, Neil, Jordan. Let's go right now. Neil, I don't know if you caught it earlier. We were talking about Minnesota. Minnesota Nice. You are from Minnesota. A, can you confirm Minnesota Nice is a thing? And B, are you going to not be nice at TJ? Because he said Anthony Edwards is not a superstar, that's an outrageous claim. Is it? You speak for yourself.
Dumbest thing I've ever heard. Yeah, Anthony Edwards is like unequivocally a superstar. Everybody knows who Anthony Davis is. He might be the face of the NBA right now. Yes,
You're
he's
a
a
Minnesota
superstar. This is
fan
not
and
even
you got his
questionable.
name wrong. You just called him Anthony Davis, but you are correct. Everyone knows who Anthony Davis is.
He might not be a superstar.
Did I really say Anthony Davis? No, Anthony Edwards is absolutely a superstar. Yeah, no, that is unequivocal. Yes, Anthony Edwards is a superstar. Minnesota Nice. Yes, I think that there are a lot of different ways you can interpret Minnesota Nice. Some people would just say that it means passive aggressive. I think that there is some passive aggressivity here. I also think I've lived in the Northeast. People are passive aggressive everywhere. Like, I think it's kind of overstated how passive aggressive people are here relative to elsewhere. Ultimately, I think, yeah, people are nicer to your face in Minnesota than they are like in Boston, has been my experience. Absolutely. So yeah, I would say it's.
You lived in Boston, Neil?
I went to Tufts. I lived in Boston for about 6 years. So yeah, have a lot of experience. Lived in New York for a while. I would say Minnesota, of the places that I've lived, which is just Minnesota, Boston, and New York, people are the nicest to your face in Minnesota. It's closer to like the South in that there's more like, yeah, just like to your face, they're nicer. I think it's comparable, like people behind your backs. It's like people are sometimes nice, not always, everywhere.
So it sounds Canadian. Sounds a little Canadian to me.
It's very similar to Canada, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
TJ's thoughts he doesn't share with us are much more vicious, right, than how he actually vocalizes things. No, TJ's.
Dean, I've never thought in my head a meaner thought about you than what I said out loud when we were arguing about the Raptors, which I'm not looking very right now. But apparently, RJ Barrett's very important.
Yeah, it's all in good fun. I think TJ knows this. I think the people know we're not actually fighting. I like a good, healthy debate. It's a good, healthy conversation. Beimfohr, you're Midwest, right? I don't know how close you are to the city, but I feel like pretty nice. At least is this? Can you confirm, deny, or not necessarily? Is that misleading?
Yeah, I'm right outside the city. We're going there today when we get done with the show, and it's very. I would describe it as exactly what Neil was saying. That's what when he was telling me what Minnesota Nice went, I was like, I think I could fit in quite well in Minnesota, like you said, passive aggressive. But that's how it is everyone is extremely friendly, but we'll also tell it like it is, and maybe in ways that don't make you feel very good about yourself all the time. Like I always joke, people like to get mad on the internet, right? Like, no. The like Thanksgiving with like a grandma from the Midwest is like those people couldn't handle it. Like if you walked in the door and you weren't like acting right, like my grandma would call you out, right? Like the moment, like Happy Thanksgiving, 85-year-old woman is ragging on you the moment you got in the door. But it's like it's all out of love, right? You said it's like we love a good healthy debate. We love to give each other stuff, but it's all love.
Jordan, I can't piece together what jersey you're wearing. Who are we looking at?
Luke
Kuechly, baby.
The Kuechly jersey to represent, the Panthers beating the Rams last week. I know, Erik, you probably love that one. And I will say, I don't think Neil's Minnesota Nice. I've seen him talk about the Panthers all year long. It's never been nice. It's not a single time.
Minnesota honest.
I've gotten nicer about the Panthers throughout the year.
We beat the Packers and we beaten the Rams. I don't know what's going on, but we are provocative. And I don't know if you saw like the stat before the year about J-Lo's divorce, the Buckeyes winning the national championship, and the Panthers playing the Jaguars week 1. But the last 2 times that happened, we made it to the Super Bowl. I wish I could say I'm confident we don't have a chance, but I mean, we beat the 2 best teams in the NFC, I think.
There's no good teams this year.
Is the sample size?
There's one good team in New England.
This is the 3rd time that those 3 things have happened because J-Lo has to get divorced. That's the other key to this. Yeah, she's divorced twice, and we made it to the Super Bowl both times. And I know for a fact both of those years, nobody thought we were going to the Super Bowl. I mean, I had one of my friends telling me like, "Oh, Seattle beats you in the playoffs." The year we went 15-1, and I'm like, "This is no, we we're going. It's just winning. No, that's tough. We lost to Peyton and Brady." Peyton's corpse and Brady, not when he was all that good yet. But we still lost to Brady and Peyton.
He was very good then. What do you mean?
He threw for 100 yards in the Super Bowl.
He outdueled Jake Delhomme.
Yeah, I was saying, but Brady had under 200 yards in the Super Bowl and beat us. So.
Did he throw for under 200 yards in that Super Bowl? He had an unbelievable throw in that final drive.
No, he did well. I just know that I'm pretty sure, because I remember looking back, because again, I was, 5 or so. Super that 5-year-old during that Super Bowl, but
I want to see what he threw for.
We got to step aside, but Tim, is that a new dog? I feel like we have.
Oh no, he did throw for more. I mean, I'm thinking of the Eagles Super Bowl. He threw for 350.
That was like the second half of that game was like back and forth, like both quarterbacks did really well.
I don't know what Super Bowl I'm thinking of with Brady under 200 yards. Was it the first one?
Definitely wasn't that one.
The first one,
Probably Rams.
Probably the Rams Super Bowl.
That was the worst Super Bowl, like 13-9 or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, they just mugged the Rams wide receiver.
No, the Kurt Warner one.
Lost.
The one where he beat Warner, he threw for 145. That's the one I was thinking of.
It was defensive dominance.
The Carolina one, him and
Delhomme Super Bowl
back and forth in the second half.
Yeah.
That's why I knew
that was a fun time. I mean, I wasn't really. I had to watch it back like 6 years ago to really appreciate some of it.
All right, let's step aside and get out of here. We got to make way for the next grouping. Tim, this is a new dog, yes?
Oh, he's muted. This guy.
Tim's on
mute.
Muted him.
Just unfortunate.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, no, this is Cinna. She's just visiting for a couple weeks.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you had a cameo appearance from Cinna. All right. That was Bobby. That was Tim. I was Dean. We got to go. But you have 2 hours, a nonstop NFL DFS conversation taking you all the way up to kickoff. Beimfohr. It is all
Brady threw for 354 and 3 touchdowns for Carolina in the second Super Bowl.
I was wrong. Bobby was okay. Sorry, Bobby. My memory of the 5-year-old was not ideal.
The perfect like segue of us talking about being passive aggressive and all that kind of stuff is Bobby walk off. You were wrong about how good my precious Tom Brady was in that Super Bowl. But of course, welcome to GPP Final Takes. There was an awesome comment, by the way, that said, great show, Tim. Great show, Dean. Pretty good show, Bobby. Like right when you were describing the passive aggressive nature of Minnesota. So everything's coming together. Hopefully we can bring everything together here for you for your final tournament decisions. Of course, if you've not joined us before, we're not always or necessarily going to go position by position or game by game. What we're going to try to do is hit the most notable things. That's why we covered the Panthers in the intro, right? Get them out of the way. They're on bye. We're going to talk about all the most important stuff that you need to know for tournaments. Of course, that's going to kind of be position by position and game by game, but we're going to try to hit the highlights. If you have any questions, that's what we're here to do. We're here to answer as many of your questions as we possibly can, both through our just conversation, but also by specifically answering the ones you ask in chat. I will keep track of all of those. We'll hit as many of them as we can. Crunch time will be up after us in about an hour, and they will lead you guys all the way up into lock. If we miss anything, ask those guys. They'll crush it just like they always do. Guys, we always do this intro, right, where we're like, what's the thing, right? What, like when you open a slate, I know if you play DFS for even like a semi-extended period of time, you're like, here's the thing when I open this, like, what do I gotta figure out? I think, Neil, it's probably Bills Bengals because there's a bunch of interesting like plays, I think, smattered across the slate that aren't necessarily in that game. But the one game, right? If you open the slate and you're like, if there's one game that goes for 70 something points, even in the snow, right? I think it's Bills Bengals. Is that kind of how you're thinking too?
Yeah, definitely the first place you look is Bills Bengals has the highest total on the slate, but like not super easy. Like there are some slates where it's like this game has a high total. I know I want Dak Prescott because the Cowboys are going to score a lot. This is one where it's like I might want Josh Allen. Like the Bills are expected to score a lot of points, but also they're probably just going to do it on the ground. I think the easy spot is James Cook from that game, and then beyond James Cook, it's like I don't know, Jamar Chase. It's a tough spot for the Bengals, but Jamar Chase is Jamar Chase. He has Joe Burrow back. Like they're probably going to put up points. So yeah, I would agree with you that is.
What do you think, Jordan? Bills, Bengals. How are we starting with this one?
It's definitely a starting point, but on top of it, I'm shocked how little the field cares about Chase Brown. Like I know what Samaje Perine has been the last two. I totally understand the concern, but we're just going to ignore that Chase Brown has been still super efficient. And like I've watched this Bills run defense all season long. Like it's been terrible. And now they can't commit the extra person into the box because they have to worry about Joe Burrow passing with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins fully back. Like to me, it's like this game has a lot of ways to play it, but we have a game with a 54-point total that we're getting a running back that we know is super explosive against one of the worst run defenses in football, and he's coming under 5% projected ownership right now. That's crazy. I don't think I've seen a spot like that in quite some time, to be honest. Like, I know Chase Brown's not pretty from what he did, but like even last week he scored 18. It's not like he was like blanked against the Baltimore Ravens, and I would argue the Ravens have returned to that like top 5, top 8 run defense. And he still broke off, 78 yards, was targeted 7 times, got 3 red zone rushing attempts. I don't know. It just, to me, this game is super fun because I don't think the field is quite playing it as correctly as I normally see like the 54. Like I feel like usually, you see the 54-point total on this type of slate and you're like, oh, this guy's 20%. Oh, this guy's 18%. Like, but no, we have a sub 5% running back that starts and is very, very good when he gets the ball.
Yeah, the kind of like rotating question on the expert survey, which I know you guys, of course, also fill out here at RotoGrinders, was basically kind of what you just said. With one game that stands out so far above the rest, like how are you treating Bills Bengals? And we filled this out earlier in the week, right? Ownership hasn't like completely crystallized and all that. And my sentiment was kind of what you just described the field is doing. I was like, it's the best game for sure. But I'm like, the Bills are always funny where it's like other than Josh Allen and James Cook, have you ever felt good clicking a Bill, right? Like, and right now it's only worse. We got Gabe, we got Brandon Cooks, we got is Keon? What's up with Keon? Right? Dalton Kincaid is, I guess, going to play, but
going to try to play. He's going to try to play.
Right? That doesn't exactly like we love the matchup against the Bengals, but it's like he's dragging his leg around out there. The update from what's his name? Their head coach was saying like he had this issue early in the season. He like recovered from it, and then he got this hamstring injury, and the knee thing popped up again. It's like, well, that doesn't sound awesome, that this thing is kind of popping back up again. So anyway, the Bills are uncomfortable to click outside of those two guys, and then Jamar Chase isn't cheap. Chase Brown, people have the concerns about Samaje Perine, T. Higgins. There's only a few guys you really like to play, so I think it's keeping ownership in check, and I think Chase Brown is a great indicator of that, like you said. Jordan, I do want to hit quickly because there's a question Jeremy asked, like Bills Bengals in the snow. I want to get you guys' takes on just generally on, we're in December, right? It's been miserably cold here and snow, and I was snowed in for days this week. So people are experiencing that everywhere. We do have a couple of spots from a weather perspective that I think we need to consider. Of course, go check, just Google NFL weather. If you don't even want to go to RotoGrinders, it's at the top of the list. Kevin Roth, of course, chief meteorologist here. Just a couple quick things. Green, yellow in Tampa Bay. There might be some rain, but he says it's probably going to hold off until after the game. However, the opposite on the rain spectrum. Indy goes to Jacksonville, and it is the Family Guy meme. It's going to rain in Jacksonville. It's raining now. It's going to be raining at game time, and it's going to be raining later. So it's going to be sloppy is exactly what Roth says. That doesn't mean, right? That doesn't mean don't play those guys, but just understand what you're getting yourself into. Tennessee, Cleveland is snow. He has yellow, orange. He does do a good job. I'm going to lump that Cincy and Buffalo game in here because these are both snow games. There's a little bit of wind in both of them, but it's mostly just like cold and snowy in those games. And so, if you have a different opinion on it, we'll talk about ours. If you have a different opinion on how snow matters, handle that yourself. But we'll talk about that here in just a second. And then yellow in Green Bay. It's Green Bay in December. It's just like always going to be yellow or orange or something like that. So, Jordan, how are we thinking about some of the weather specifically as it relates to like these snow games? Are you changing anything because of that?
I remember the Bengals and Bills played in Buffalo on a very, very frigid day where it was absolutely snowing in a playoff game. And I watched Burrow just go out there, and I think he had like 230 and 3. I'm going to make sure because of my memory in the start of the show. But I remember him just kind of just slicing up this Bills defense. Like, I would be worried if the winds were super high, but they mentioned specifically like the winds aren't that bad. It's just snowing, and sometimes it affects quarterbacks, sometimes it doesn't. I also remember the conversation before that Bills-Bengals game was like, well, Joe Burrow, small hands, like, is he going to be able to figure that game out? And it's like he threw for 240 and 2, and then he ran for 31 yards in that game. Obviously, I don't know if he's going to give you some rushing, but like his passing numbers weren't that bad, and that was a game that I think was a bit colder, if I'm not mistaken, a bit more windy. This game not having the wind is kind of making me like I'm just disregarding it. Vegas still has a 54-point total for this. I think it gets there, and these are two very bad defenses. Like these two defenses have been terrible all season long for the most part.
I will also add, Neil, Roth mentioned this on the weather page that folks can go check out, is Tom Brady himself, the aforementioned Tom Brady. Thanks, Bobby, for the foreshadowing. Mentioned he likes the snow games because, right, the pass rushers and the defense stuff don't have their footing, and they don't know where the offense is going. So as long as it's not windy, as long as, right, the ball's not slick or whatever like that, which it's the NFL, they put a new ball in on, every other play, basically. It's going to be totally fine. Tom Brady's telling me it's fine. Like Josh Allen's probably also going to be fine. Is there any reservation for you about specifically about this one? There's a lot of other reasons to be reserved about Titans Browns in the snow, but about this kind of more popular game.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like it. Like it just widens the range of outcomes. I think generally having the snow, like based on, I mean, that's kind of Roth's reading. I think we've said it. I've said it before on these shows that like adjusting to weather is not one of my strengths in DFS. I feel like it over time, like if I just didn't know the weather, I would have done better in DFS throughout my career. So I don't want to overreact, but I think it makes sense. Like that's been something that I've always kind of wondered is like the offense knows where they're going. The defense doesn't. So the defense is reacting. That's tougher you would think on slippery surfaces. So that makes sense to me that offenses potentially could benefit when there is a wet surface, but no wind. Like that makes sense to me. So it's a spot that I've struggled with what to do with this game because if these teams go off and this is the game you need, that would not surprise anybody. It's tough from a lot of perspectives. Like we said, the Dalton Kincaid kind of unknown. If he's a full go, like I would love Dalton Kincaid in this spot. If he's not a full go, then Dawson Knox becomes a play, not like my favorite play, but like a reasonable play. But it's like going to Joe Burrow. I mentioned him. I yesterday did a piece on FanDuel, and I'm like, Burrow's kind of reasonably priced on FanDuel. That kind of interests me. But then I'm looking at it's so tough to get to the double stacks with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. So it is still like there's a lot of cost issues with the Bengals, and then on the Bills side, we don't really know who we want to stack up with Josh Allen. So it is like difficult to figure out how to play the game. But I think it's a good idea to play a lot of this game. And the weather's certainly not going to stop me.
What I would call kind of next up in my decision tree, right? If we're going down this list of you opened up the slate, you got asked the question in chat by Mr. Richard. He's specifically asking about Jacoby Brissett at on DraftKings at quarterback. But I think we should talk about the Arizona Cardinals all around, and really this game would be the next up thing for me because Jordan, there's this weird, like, no one's left. Michael Wilson has kept doing it, right? Trey McBride has kept, these guys keep doing it. Jacoby Brissett keeps doing it. This is a little different. This week is a little bit different. I'm not saying that those guys aren't good plays. I'm not saying you can't play them. I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying is the Rams defense is different from what this Cardinals team has been facing. Marv is back out, right? So for anybody is wondering about this question, Marvin Harrison is back injured. He came back from his concussion. Now he has a heel injury. Just quick side thing. I love when hate, whatever, what coaches like say he's got a heel. Like, tell me the injury. I'm like, I'm aware he has a heel, and I'm aware that's the body part that is, it's like hockey, upper body injury. I'm like, what does that even? Is that a shoulder, a head, an ear? Like, what does that mean? So anyway, he has a heel, but Greg Dortch just got placed on IR, sort of out of nowhere. Xavier Weaver, who had been filling in as the wide receiver 3 because Zay Jones is also out, and of course Marv is out. He's out or not expected to play. He's not going to. You want to talk about a vagabond group of skill players, right? Trey Benson is still out. It's a mess in Arizona. Do you have any caution about this situation? Because it does sort of feel like just lock and load the Cardinals thing. They keep doing it, right? But this to me, this feels like a little bit of a different spot that we need to analyze a little bit more deeply. Mute.
That the mute is always the killer there. But with me in this game in particular, I feel like I'm not gonna get much of it because I'm not fully bought into it. Like, they were implied 19 points this week. I feel like the last few weeks they've implied like 23, 24. Like, they've actually had opportunity. And with the Rams, I feel like when Sean McVay takes that big lead, he's very good at just milking the clock. Like, he doesn't really try to put himself, like, he doesn't try to go for kill shots. And that against the Eagles, that hurt them in that game in particular with the Eagles' huge comeback. But against most teams, it's just going to kind of work. Like, they're going to be able to be fluid. And I know, like, what the Panthers did last week and maybe stuck a little bit in people's minds. We played as perfect a football as it possibly could get from like a conversion standpoint. Cardinals don't have that run game. They don't have the ability to get into these 3rd and 2s, 4th and 1s. And then on top of it, like, I know Tet won against Emmanuel Forbes. I think we abused Emmanuel Forbes in a lot of ways, and he's kind of been really bad lately. He's had a really good season for the Rams. In this matchup, like, they can avoid having Emmanuel Forbes on Michael Wilson this one. They don't have to make that thing with this team at this point in time. And because you're depleted so much. And also the price points of the Cardinals this week are just harder to buy. An 8K tight end is just, I'm just not doing it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, whatever. I'll go elsewhere at the position. Like, I will go find, the 8K Jamar Chase is 8.2, James Cook is 7.8. Like, I know Trey McBride's going to be lower owned because he's 8K, but I'm okay with passing on it. And I think I would much rather go to like the Rams defense and Kyren in this spot and just assume like there is that milk of the clock and different things. And I know Kyron's not the prettiest play because of how good Blake Corum's been lately, but still it's just like, touchdowns can go in their favor. They've kind of proven like, hey, we can do this thing with Devontae Adams whenever we want. Let's try to, run the ball in the red zone for a little bit. Like, Stafford's been turning the ball over a little too much. This is another team that I think disguises their coverage a little bit, not as quite to the rate of the Panthers, which I know, Neil, you pointed out that Scott last week made that clear, like, that the Panthers disguise coverages, Stafford could struggle against that. I think this is a game where he's seen this team a lot, and they just know, like, all right, we're going to run the ball, and we don't need to prove we could throw the ball in the red zone.
Neil, I think this is a pretty awesome bounce back spot for the Rams just overall, which leads me to, there's a great comment also in the chat saying you're excited to talk about Blake Corum and backup running backs here. And I mean, honestly, I don't think it's that crazy, but that's partially because I think this is a really good spot for the Rams to bounce back and kind of score however they want and then do their defensive thing to hold the Cardinals in check. But what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I guess my one counterpoint to that, and I don't know to what extent that this narrative is real. We have been talking about it the past couple of weeks, but they're trying to get Stafford the MVP, I think, is a real thing. Like, Sean McVay would like to get Stafford the MVP. So to me, that's a reason to not get excited about the running backs and just think like they're probably just going to continue passing it to Davante Adams if they're close. There's also the possibility that they're going for the touchdown record for Davante Adams. Apparently the Randy Moss's receiving touchdown record is within reach if he gets like 2 per game. So that was brought up on another show. And I think that's a fine one, but at the very least, I think like I'm buying in at least to they want to get Stafford the MVP, which probably means throw in more touchdowns. Again, it's a narrative. You can factor it in if you want, or just completely disregard. And Jordan might be right. Like, at the end of the day, these are Super Bowl contenders. Like, that's what they really want, is to win the Super Bowl. So if they think they need to prove like, hey, we can run it in the red zone too, get some practice at doing so, that wouldn't also, be a shock. So I agree with you. Fantastic spot for the Rams. I'm going to go, I think, more to the passing game because I'm buying into they want the Super Bowl narrative. More so the pass catchers than Stafford. Stafford a little bit expensive on DraftKings. I like him better on FanDuel where he's like relative to other quarterbacks a bit cheaper. I think he's a fine play on DraftKings at 6,900, just a little more expensive, so not a real target for me. But I like Devontae Adams quite a bit. Puka, I think you can obviously always go to Puka. I don't think I'm going to the tight ends for the Rams. None of them are really breaking away as like the 80% route participation, several targets. If I were going to go to one, it would be Parkinson, but I don't even know that I get there. And then on the Cardinals side, yeah, I think Jordan makes a good point that this is a spot that's like they could fail. Like there could be systemic failure here. So I'm inclined to go to have a fair amount of Michael Wilson, but he's up at near 40% projected ownership. Once you get there, it's like, yeah, but the whole offense might just not do well against this Rams defense. It is a really good defense, and McBride is expensive enough that like he could put up 18 and you still don't want him. So I think that it's a reasonable stance to fade it. I don't think I'm going to be full fading it. I think I am getting to the point where it's like I'm probably going to be underweight on Michael Wilson at least, just because he's projected for so much ownership. And yeah, I'm assuming that if they play a regular game, they're going to target him 12 times. So I like that at 5,600. But they might not have there might be a lot of 3 and outs in which like they can't get to 12 targets because they're just not on offense enough against this Rams defense. So I think an underweight approach makes sense for the Cardinals offense.
I think that from an MME perspective, that seems like there's not a lot of reason in 150 plus lineups, right? Like a full fade feels like a little fancy play. And look, I love a good fancy play weekend. You've heard me recommend a lot of fancy plays that don't work out, but I think that seems logical, right? If the dude is 30+%, there's actually quite a few intriguing wide receivers, I think, on this slate, and get your Michael Wilson and kind of move on. I think Jordan and I are a little more inclined to like a single entry, 3 entry max, like fading the Cardinals. I quite like the Rams defense. We'll get to the defense stuff later, but I quite like the Rams defense as like if everybody's going to keep doing the Cardinals thing, what if the Rams, like really good Rams defense, comes out and plays well? I mean, the people in the chat, like, you tell me who's going to run the second most routes amongst the wide receivers for the Cardinals. Andre Bocellia or whatever his name is. Like I have truly no idea. So what I will say, maybe an afternoon only thing, but I'm betting his props, by the way. I think they're going to play a bunch of 12 personnel. They just like don't have wide receiver bodies. Elijah Higgins is 2,500 if you want to like get super duper funky. He's not going to like win you the slate from a raw points perspective, but I think he's been playing about 40% of the snaps over the course of the last while. I think they go straight like Raiders, like we can't play these wide receivers. They trust Higgins. They like Higgins. And of course, Trey McBride is a superstar. So star. We can't use superstars around here for these kind of guys. He hasn't won a championship. He can't be a superstar, I guess. All right, let's hit some questions, and then let's do some running backs, because there's a lot of running backs to dive through. Jeremy mentions Lions have Tanner Hudson at 2.5 yards receiving. That's a gimme. It might be. He played 6 snaps last week, so I would just be careful with Tanner Hudson. Mike Gesicki is back, and it's snowy. So
and that was with 85 offensive plays.
He played 6,
something like that.
Yeah, he played 6 of 85 offensive plays. So just be careful is what I would say on those guys. There was a question back here that I totally missed, and I apologize because somebody put a bunch in here. Anyway, all right, let's do some of the recent ones. Devon Vele. Oh, God, we're getting into my bag already. Devon Vele for value, or what do you think, Neil, about just overall? How does Vele rank versus Burden versus A.D. Mitchell's a little bit more expensive, but just like the value wide receivers? Because I think we'll get to running back in a sec. There's a lot of like running backs, but they're generally a little bit pricier to get to. So we might need some wide receiver value.
Yeah, for me, it's Burden, the clear number one for me as far as the values. Kind of pops off with no Romo Dunze on the Bears. I like that game environment a bit. So I'd say Burden number one, and then it's between like I guess the next under 4,000. It's like Vele, Pat Bryant. I feel like Gabe Davis is I think under 4K also, who's slightly interesting to me after running a lot of routes. I think that's another way to get different by playing that game. I would probably rank it Vele followed by Bryant followed by Davis, but I guess relative to the field, I think Davis not getting any ownership maybe the most interesting at ownership. But yeah, I think all of those under sub 4K receivers are in play, but Burden is like the clear number one for me.
What about you, Jordan?
I have a gross take on some of those cheap value receivers. I do agree with Neil. Like the safest and the most appealing is Burden with all the expected, routes that he will be running today with no Romo Dunze with a broken foot. But Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson are two guys that I will be taking a shot on. My lean is Calvin Austin in this matchup because I've talked about it multiple times with Aaron Rodgers. When you give him man coverage, he is successful. He is a guy that can throw the ball accurately down the field. No, he's got a broken wrist, which is really bad, but it's in his non-throwing hand, and he's kind of playing through it like it's fine. The Steelers are also
his face is also that was gnarly. That was a gnarly little stretch there for Rodgers.
Yes, it's just he's obviously had the weird, but the Steelers are just destined to be 10-7 or 9-8. They're destined to be above 500. This is the game that I think they might just win. It would just be wait, what? Oh wow, this is kind of crazy. And I've seen Baltimore's defense and secondary in particular, they've gotten shredded at times. Do I think it's guaranteed? No, I know that they're 6-point favorites at home, but they just were 6 or 7-point favorites against the Bengals, and I watched them not give Derrick Henry the ball. Steelers defense has names in 1 week. They could just show up and start playing well. Again, it's a very far-fetched play, but I do think Calvin Austin is probably one of the cheap guys I'm going to take a dart throw on.
Someone asking about, of course, they signed because, of course, the Steelers signed Adam Thielen.
That tweet was so funny. The Pro Bowler one.
Yes, so good. But I will say, I would not expect today. Maybe we'll look at next week and be like, oh my God, Adam Thielen really ran 70% of the routes. And anything is possible. But I also think that they need the field strike, Calvin Austin specifically. If you wanted to argue he steals from Roman Wilson or something, I think that's. I think Calvin Austin is kind of like a Roman Wilson healthy scratch Steelers season in the chat says. So
healthy and active Roman Wilson, nice. So it's just Calvin. I don't even have to worry about that.
And Glazer says Thielen and MVS will play a lot of snaps now. We'll see what that means. Maybe I'm just an idiot. I find it hard to. Calvin Austin provides something in their offense that they just don't have, and he's really only been running. He's playing fit because he doesn't run block, so he goes in there for a specific purpose. I think that he still serves that specific. I mean, he could goose egg, but he could also catch 2 long passes today.
Did you see what Thielen said about he's yeah, the verbiage totally different. I am learning a new language right now with Arthur Smith's playbook. I can't imagine. I don't know, a receiver just moving over 2 days. Was it been 3 days? It was 3 or 4 days ago he got cut. And just playing a lot of snaps. One, they don't even run 3 wide receiver sets.
No,
that they run 3 tight ends more than they run 3 receivers. Right. So I'm so confused. If Arthur Smith goes out there and runs 3 wide receiver sets the entire game with MVS, Thielen, and DK Metcalf, I will die laughing and just assume Aaron Rodgers is now the coordinator for the Steelers.
Duccaneer says wagering a responsible amount. At least it's responsible. We promote responsible gambling around here. Responsible amount on an MVS touchdown. That seems like if you're going to spend some money on something fun, that does seem like something fun. Someone else asked about actives and inactives, and then Neil, let's do some. I'll kick it to you for some running back takes. The aforementioned Roman Wilson is a healthy scratch, which kind of came out of nowhere, but also such a Rodgers thing. They signed Thielen and MVS, and then the young kid goes inactive is so unsurprised. Roman Wilson's on the Tyler Johnson career arc. So get ready for 3 years from now. I'm going to tout him on the show. Josh Palmer is inactive. Dylan Sampson is active. So something to consider for Quinshon Judkins. Parker Washington is inactive for the Jags. We'll talk about that one monsoon game. Tristan Wirfs is inactive. That is not a skill player, of course, but that is the left tackle for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Very, very important for their offense. Why I'm mentioning him. Dalton Kincaid is active. We talked about Thielen and MVS. And Jermaine Burton was suspended. What a surprise. That's the list there. So running backs. John is asking about Jacobs, Bucky. Someone else was mentioning some other running backs in the chat. Neil, I think there's a lot to like. I think you could go a lot of different directions at running back. Where are you starting? Where are your priorities?
I think James Cook has to be kind of the starting place against the Bengals. Again, teams just every week put up a lot of points on the ground against the Bengals. James Cook has a great workload, and he's an elite running back. So I think everything is he's only 7,800 on DraftKings, 9,300 on FanDuel. I think he's a strong play both places. Better on DraftKings, I think, but I think he's just a strong play, regardless of where you're playing. So I think that and beyond James Cook, he's the obvious one to me. If I'm building a single entry, he's the first player, and then it's a little bit more up in the air after James Cook, as far as I'm concerned. I think Devin Achane, a fair price. Bijan Robinson, I prefer Achane over Robinson, but I think they're both relatively strong plays. I like Bucky Irving, but also Tristan Wirfs being out, not ideal. That's not the best thing. I'll still play some Bucky Irving. Quinshon Judkins, I do think that he was going to be better without Dylan Sampson because he was a little bit more involved. He had 3 targets last week as opposed to like 2 on average. I don't know. Could have trended in the right direction without Dylan Sampson. So I don't love for him that Dylan Sampson is back, but still in play. Just the matchup is nice against the Titans. I think Judkins a fairly strong play. Then you've got Harvey and Ginty in the same game. Harvey a little bit cheaper, Ginty and better matchup for Harvey. Ginty worse matchup, but just has an awesome workload. So I think Ginty is probably the better play of the two of them, but I'll have both in my player pool. I'm listing off. I wrote up every running back that I'd be targeting in a 20 max. So I'm just listing off those the running backs in a 20 max.
How long that take you?
I did it like literally 5 minutes before the show started. Somebody asked me, so it's actually not that long. But yeah, so 20 max. This is with a 20 max. I would still have all of these running backs. Kenneth Walker. So I tend to spread out. Kenneth Walker, I think 5,600, nice matchup. He's been getting a better workload. He would be in a 20 max for me. Breece Hall, Aaron Jones, and Josh Jacobs. Not a priority for me. I'm going to be well into the field on Josh Jacobs. I'd still probably have some in a 20 max.
Yeah, good spot for Josh Jacobs, but the ownership has given like literally everything. I'm just nodding along like, yep, like him. And so the one guy who's going to be really popular is playing somewhere in the range of 60% of snaps. Josh Jacobs, yeah, he's going to be fine for sure. Josh Jacobs will be fine. You just got to avoid if you're fading, right? If you're playing him, he could score 3 touchdowns. He can have 100 yards and 3 touchdowns today for sure. If you're fading him for one of these other backs, you just need the not multi-touchdown game from Josh Jacobs. Just really quick, Jordan, before I kick it to you, I didn't see this. Per the Pewter Report, which is the one of the blogs for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I don't know. Adjust your projections. Bucs running back Bucky Irving got baptized this morning prior to the Saints game. He said God saved his life 2 months ago when he was going through a very tough time due to his injuries, and so he's like a newfound man. I'm not making any of this about religion, but I am saying Bucky Irving is in a much better mental headspace today than he has been. Shout out to him for getting through that tough time. So no Tristan Wirfs, but it's been replaced by the Angels on the left side. Yeah, the Angels at left tackle for Bucky Irving. But anyway, Jordan, what do you got at running back?
So Derrick Henry stands out. Obviously, I know I just said that the Steelers could probably win, but I do think that Derrick Henry is just, a sub 8% owned Derrick Henry in December. Sounds like a guy that I want to buy into because he usually just turns into a freak during this time. Also, the last 2 games he's played against the Steelers, he's ran for over 140 yards. They just have really big issues when trying to defend Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry running. My biggest concern is they don't respect Lamar Jackson as a runner right now because I wouldn't. Watching him play, he's just not the same guy at this moment in time. Just health concerns. I mentioned Chase Brown before. I'll still stand on that point. I think he's a fantastic pivot off of Josh Jacobs against the Bills defense that is just as bad. They're implied the same amount of points almost. They're actually implied the same amount of points as the Packers, which is pretty funny to see. Going down, like RJ Harvey is fine. I don't love him. I still think they just do the thing with running backs still where they're just like, yeah, we're gonna give the rushing goal line stuff to Tyler Badie today. For why? I don't know. It's just Sean Payton decides whether or not he wants to do those sort of things. I do think he'll be used as a little bit of a pass catcher. I'm trying to think. ETN and Jonathan Taylor are very interesting because it's downpouring. And it just feels like blocks are tougher, but also tackling is harder. And these are 2 of the most explosive running backs in, football from just a pure straight line speed perspective. And it's they're not getting a lot of popularity, even though, Jonathan Taylor's price has dropped to a point where I can actually consider him now. Obviously, when he's in the 10Ks, it was just no, I'm good. If he scores 3, he scores 3. But this one, you're getting under 10% ownership there. I don't think Bijan should be 13%, personally. I don't like Bijan over Achane or Cook. I can't play him there at that price. Other than that, there's not much. Oh, Breece Hall. Breece Hall is someone that they averaged like 7 yards a carry the first time they played Miami. And they just kept holding and fumbling and turning the ball over and different things with Justin Fields at quarterback. The Jets offense has a lot more life with Tyrod. It's just a lot more fluid right now. So Breece Hall at 6'5" is another running back that I'd love to get
All
to.
the Jets had to do was replace Fields with Tyrod and Garrett Wilson with AD Mitchell and John Mechie. We'll talk about those guys as well. I also want to say Breece played 88% of snaps last week. You know, that comes and goes and all that kind of stuff. They also came out, I think Aaron Glenn came out and said, like, you know, basically we need to get him the ball as much as we can. And I would say the same thing with that offense as well. But you know, I almost said superstar. He's really, really good at football, was what Aaron Glenn was saying. And like, they don't have that many guys on offense who are very, very good at football. This is one of the spots that I think he can do well. I think he's a little under-owned, like in the grand running back landscape. I will, however, cape for RJ Harvey. I'll be that guy. Least surprising thing ever, right? The rookie running back or whatever, coming on down the stretch. But what I would say is you definitely got to deal with the Sean Payton tomfoolery. Like that is just a thing. It is what it is. And yet he averaged sub 3 yards per carry last week. Jaleel McLaughlin mixed in more than you want. Tyler Bidet is going to play some passing downs, and he still scored 21 fantasy points at 5,700 against. How are the Raiders going to get a first down today? Like they keep talking about this RJ Harvey thing. Like, you know, what's the quote this week? Everybody keeps saying RJ Harvey said it. And first of all, they keep screwing it up, by the way. It's you ain't seen nothing yet, but they keep saying you haven't seen it, like super proper. You haven't seen anything yet as it comes to RJ Harvey. RJ Harvey said it. Sean Payton said it. He's been saying that since like June. So like, I don't really believe any of it. But if there was a game where it's like, dude, it's going to be 21-0 at halftime and the Raiders have like 60 total yards, like, let's get RJ going. He's good in the passing game. They keep praising his pass protection, which he was really good against Washington in pass pro. I'm pretty excited for RJ Harvey. So cue the 12 touches for 40 total yards and no touchdowns. But I think this is a pretty good spot for RJ Harvey. Neil, any other running backs that we just haven't touched on? I know you hit on kind of a 20 max core.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go 150 max player, that might make my pool. That is probably a bad idea, but yeah, some deep I'll play him anyway. Samaje Perine is a player that, like, we talked about Chase Brown. Chase Brown, I don't hate the call from Jordan either. I think he could have made a 20 max for me. I didn't include him in there, but I don't hate that call. But Samaje Perine's 4,200, and also like this should be a Samaje Perine game environment. Like they're playing against the Bills, they'll probably need to pass to keep up. Perine very involved in the passing game. I also like. We look at the splits from last week, and it was like 15 carries for Chase Brown, 14 for Samaje Perine. I have concerns that Perine isn't actually splitting, that it's like a size of we talk about the size of the running back pie. Like if the pie shrinks, I think it mostly shrinks from Perine's side as far as running goes, at least. But also it could just grow in terms of routes run and involvement in the passing game, which would benefit from Perine. But ultimately it's just like he's only 4,200 in a game that could be very high scoring. So I don't hate Perine as just a dart throw in tournaments. But I think that we've largely covered. I like the Derrick Henry. I actually added, as we were talking, as Jordan was talking, I added Derrick Henry because I do mean to include him in a 20 max also. I think that's a good shout. Yeah, but I don't think I have any. I do want to say just one thing. Please don't pander to TJ's definition of superstar. If he's not including Anthony Edwards, it's just a wrong definition of superstar.
Literally, by all accounts, every, like Ringer did their top 100, and like there's a lot of ranking, because the NBA is insane right now at the top, particularly with the top 4-ish, 5, I guess if you include Shea. But everyone is just like, yeah, Ant's like 6th overall. Like he's like right behind the guy who won MVP last year. It's like, and he's like the most popular.
Ant feels like he feels like Melo from that era. Like that, he's purely a scorer. So it like triple doubles don't ever come his way. And it like bothers people that, because Jokic is making it look like it's taking candy from a baby. Same with Luka, and it's like, no, this Anthony Edwards guy is averaging like 30 a game. Like he's just an elite scorer. In one season, he's like, I'm gonna score. I'm gonna make the most threes. Like I'm gonna shoot threes this year, and then he just led the NBA in threes. this like this year. I feel like he's worked on his post game. I feel like he's just getting better in that area of the field. And it's just like, yeah, he's just picking one aspect in the regular season. He's like, I'm just going to do that better than everybody else.
I totally agree. TJ's triggering me with all of this, but nonetheless, I will say, if you like going to basketball games, I had a great time going to Minnesota and watching. Now, I did see them play the Thunder, and I had some very good seats, so it was cool. But it was a great environment. It was a really fun environment. And Ant is awesome to watch up close. Like, he's really, really fun to watch up close. And he says a lot of stuff that I cannot mention, I cannot say on the show. But if you're close enough to hear it, he's very entertaining. He's like the fun version of Draymond Green. Like, Draymond is just annoying you when he's talking the whole time. This is like, he's like a kid. Like he's really enjoying playing the game. All right, let's talk about some like other stacks, right? So we talked about the Bills. Sorry, Lamar Jackson is a superstar. I know he hasn't won a title, just a couple MVPs, right? Who cares? Some other stacks, right? So Bills, Bengals is of course the priority. We talked about what to do with this kind of chalkier Cardinals thing. We talked about the running back stuff. If I'm not playing, like a Bills Bengals stack or a Cardinal stack or Ram stack, what am I doing, Neil? Where's your next kind of stack quarterback plus pass catcher priority?
Yeah, I got to say this has gotten tougher for me because I was really excited about playing the Packers, playing some Packer stacks with Watson and Dobbs, and now we have at least Jaden Reed active. I'm not sure about Matthew Golden, which just like I still kind of like Jordan Love, but I don't know beyond. I think I still like Christian Watson. I don't know if I like Romeo Dobbs anymore with Jaden Reed there. I'm like, I sort of want to play Jaden Reed at, I think he's 4,200. I kind of want to take a shot there, but it's also his first game here. So that gets a little bit more complicated. One of my favorite stacks previously is now kind of like, I still sort of like it, but I don't, it's not as clear to me. I think you go to obviously Jacoby Brissett. We talked about that with Michael Wilson and or Trey McBride. I think one spot that I'm going to is Baker Mayfield. I think I'm going to be doing some Baker Mayfield stacks in part because I really love Chris Godwin today, up to 60% route participation last week. I think that we probably see that continue to increase. So I'm really intrigued by a really low owned Chris Godwin. And as a result, Baker Mayfield also 5,800. He's been hurt, which is the only real thing holding me back from really going in on Baker Mayfield. If he were fully healthy, I'd be like, this is just the ultimate spot. Obviously that this driving down ownership also, so probably wouldn't get this spot if he were fully healthy, but I'll take shots on Baker Mayfield with Chris Godwin and some Emeka Egbuka in some of those stacks as well. I think that's a stack that I like a lot better than the field. Tyrod Taylor, you can go with either of Adonai Mitchell or John Mechie. I think that's a fairly strong stack as well. Pretty inexpensive. You can go with Jaden Daniels, and I think Terry McLaurin, I think is where I would go rather than Deebo Samuel. Just a lot more, playing together. They play together a lot more. So I think Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, a spot that I would attack. Those are some of my targets.
I love that, and I Jordan, I'm curious in your take on that Vikings game as well with Jaden Daniels back, with Terry McLaurin back. The pricing, it's very interesting. You talked about Chase Brown, the Jaden Daniels, like Terry McLaurin, specifically Terry McLaurin, I guess I would say feels a little Chase Browny to me, and where you're like, people are just like not excited. I'm like, I don't know. He had 14 targets last week, granted from Mariota, granted overtime game, all that kind of stuff, but it's Terry McLaurin at $5,200. Like, it's not like an awesome spot, but like we're like 40% own Michael Wilson at 5,600 and like 15% own Terry McLaurin at 5,200. Just feels interesting to me. So I'm curious on your take on that, and then just overall, again, your favorite stacks.
So this is with the Flores defense. It's always interesting. I feel like they could score 40 in this game. Like I feel like the Commander. I know they're not implied. I know the over under is 40 points, but it's like the big play upside.
That's because nine's on the other side.
The alter ego on that thing. Like the Vikings defense is one that, yes, they do get worn down in the end of the games with the run, but in particular, if you can see their blitz and throw it, you can usually beat their blitz. And this is the first time we're getting like the full Commanders, like the full team. Like the first few weeks of the season with McLaurin was just practicing because of the whole contract thing. And that was like a big thing that really caused a lot of issues for, the consistency and continuity. And like they caught fire to end last season. I know Jaden Daniels coming off an injury, but like it's a dome environment. It's not getting a lot of love. the only hesitancy that I have with the whole game is like, can the Vikings provide us anything? like this is as bad as it gets from a defensive perspective with the Commanders. Can we get the ball thrown accurately towards Justin Jefferson? Can we get protection? Because I don't know if that's the case with that offense line. I think Darsaw is out again.
Is he out? Yeah,
I think he was. Oh, that's just saw the comment, Neil. I mean, some of us beat the Rams and the Packers, and others lose to the other ones.
Christian Darrisaw and Donovan Jackson are both.
Okay, they're back. I remember I thought I saw that he was out, but I'm mistaken there. But like, even so, can McCarthy and the offense be competent? It does scare me. But I do believe, like, regardless, Jaden Daniels and Terry at that price tag, like, people are going to play Brissett and Michael Wilson more frequently than probably Jaden Daniels and McLaurin today.
Sorry, I was just going to say, Neil, do you have any to add on your Vikings? Is this a bounce back spot for JJ McCarthy? Is it over? Because I think Jordan outlined a lot of great points about how this game could this feels like. I'm kind of shocked at the ownership, but I think JJ McCarthy has just been so bad that everybody. I'm not trying to clown it, but I think ultimately JJ McCarthy's performance today, like, this could win you all the money if he's half comp. Like, you don't have to be awesome, just like be half competent. I think with the pricing and the dome and everything, it feels really nice. But like, can we trust him?
Yeah, I mean, the issue for me is his ownership is really different depending on where you look. I'm seeing like anywhere from like, what does RG have it at, like 1 or what's the ownership here? Because I've seen 7% projected ownership for JJ McCarthy.
3
just from
right
like,
now.
Okay, 3% is the latest. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to open it, but it's taking a minute. So like 3 to 7% is kind of a massive difference. Like when you're that low, like that's more than double the number of people playing at 7% versus 3%. I'd be pretty surprised at 7%. So I think our 3% that RG has it at is probably pretty close to accurate. Yeah, I think with Christian Darrisaw and Donovan Jackson active, like that's pretty great to see that they're getting their healthy offensive line back. Like that makes such a huge difference. I think that has been kind of understated throughout the year. Like people don't understand the Vikings have been dealing with offensive line issues all season, and it's been tough for anybody to get in any kind of flow. I'm no longer the JJ McCarthy stan that I was at the beginning of the season when I thought he was going to be really good, and he was just showing some flaws here and there, but like showing some nice throws. Like he's been pretty bad the past couple of games. I acknowledge that, and I still think at 3%, like, yeah, I think he's a fine play at 3%. Not a huge target for me, but I'll probably be with maybe even above the field at 3%. I certainly think at the very least you can go to his receivers. Jordan Addison down to 4,900. Justin Jefferson 6,900. It is the ultimate spot, or not the ultimate, but it's a really strong spot here against the Commanders with the healthy offensive line. So I think that it is. I don't want anybody's takeaway to be Neil loves the Vikings today. I did not include them in my, or maybe I did actually include Jefferson and Addison, but not JJ McCarthy. But I think that they are playable today, given the matchup, given the prices coming down, and the ownership not being out of hand here. I also think like Aaron Jones at 5,300, he's shown some connection with JJ McCarthy, like has actually made some bulk plays through the air with JJ McCarthy. So I think Aaron Jones is kind of in play here as well.
I like the Aaron Jones shout. I did just see Lippy in the chat, which also gets me every time from what was the Adam Sandler movie? Miss Lippy. Lippy, you can correct me. That has to be where it comes from. But anyway, has brought up a few times. I just wanted to make sure I answered this question because we didn't during the running back section. Has brought up Tony Pollard, and like I get it conceptually. Tony Pollard is getting double-digit touches. He's become cheap now because he doesn't score very many fantasy points, and the Titans are terrible. And it's the Browns. You think like, okay, like they can compete with the Browns, right? What I will say is I bet the Tony Pollard rushing under today, quite like confidently. Now, again, famous last words, but Tyjae Spears is back. He isn't like stealing a ton of rushing work, but it's been, the Titans get down so big. He's catching a bunch of passes. They're kind of splitting the backfield. This is about as bad as it gets in terms of a rushing matchup, and the Titans can't really run the ball particularly well anyway, and they can't sustain drives, and they probably don't sustain drives today against the Browns. So I don't have much from this game even though I think Judkins is interesting, right? Fan isn't. There's like maybe some interesting pieces, but maybe you guys have something different. I just wanted to answer the Tony Pollard question and just anything about this game that we missed.
I think Myles Garrett breaks the sack record. That's what I think is going to happen today. I'm good. The only interest is Judkins in the defense. I think a 10% or Titans defense is ridiculous in my opinion. I don't think the Browns are going to throw the ball. They've kind of committed to like not letting Shedeur throw the ball as much as they can. And even if he does throw it, it's like a swing pass to Dylan Sampson. It's really, he threw one ball down the field to was it Bond or Judy?
Judy.
Bond
like 2 weeks ago, Judy last year, and then Judy fumbled it because of course Judy fumbled it.
Yeah, he just and then he missed them on a big play last week too that they got into an argument on it. But regardless, they're going to just run the ball, and I think that the Titans' run defense is bad enough that they're just not going to be in situations that they need to throw. I know they're missing some offense linemen as well, but again, Myles Garrett is just going to try to break the sack record pretty quickly, and I think against Cam Ward, he could probably do it in 3 quarters.
I was a lot more interested. Even like I think to your point, Judkins is pretty interesting, but also Neil highlighted Sampson is playing. You know, the Tides have been a little bit with Jeffrey Simmons in the last couple of weeks. The Tides have been a little bit better from a run perspective. Jack Conklin is out for the Browns on the offensive line. Like, I just feel like there's a lot of good plays. Do I really got to dive into Browns Titans in the snow? Like, that's kind of how I feel about it. I do want to get your guys' take on Indy Jacksonville rain. Neil, have you adjusted Jonathan Taylor, or there is no Parker Washington, which is semi-interesting, but this game seemed kind of fun a few days ago, and now with this monsoon it doesn't seem so fun. I know you've talked about your issues with the weather and adjusting for the weather, but what have you been doing this morning with that weather news?
Yeah, I think that it makes me like typically makes me like running backs better and players who get targeted short. So Tyler Warren was already kind of a target of mine. I think Tyler Warren looks as good as he did. That doesn't really make me like him better because I already liked him quite a bit, but I like Tyler Warren. Jonathan Taylor does make me like him a little bit better. I guess it benefits Josh Downs. I don't know if I'm going to be going to Josh Downs anyway, but I think theoretically it could benefit Josh Downs. Maybe just Jacoby Myers. I guess running backs, Jordan already mentioned JT and ETN both kind of potentially benefiting. I agree with that take. And then outside of that, it's mostly just Tyler Warren for me. Oh, Brenton Strange also. I like that shout. Yeah.
Anything on this one, Jordan?
Tyler Warren did get an opportunity at quarterback. He fumbled, but that's besides the fact. They never took a snap inside the 10-yard line, so that kind of hurt my process because Houston Texans are the most disrespectful defense I have probably watched in quite some time. Like that Broncos defense when they beat the Panthers. Those are the 2 defenses that it kind of reminds me of. I don't know if you saw like the graph from I can't think of his name. It's like Football Insights, I think, on Twitter. He posts the graph of like disguise coverages and stuff, and it's like the Houston Texans just don't disguise their coverage. They just show you like, yeah, we're doing this. And everybody's like, I don't know how to go. I don't know how to beat this. Like, I can't figure it out. And it's like, well, yeah, because Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter have like 9 sacks on Josh Allen and stuff. So they're the best defense in football. But regardless, I do think Tyler Warren gets more Wildcat snaps today. I think he gets an opportunity near the goal line because I watched Daniel Jones in that game. Can't move. He barely stepped out of a pocket on a rollout where he threw a touchdown to Tyler Warren last week.
Yeah, tough scenes for the Colts. A kind of miracle's not the right word, but it kind of out of nowhere. Like a few weeks ago, they were the favorite for the bye, or like co-favorites with the Patriots for the bye in the AFC, and things unraveling a little bit. Tough schedule down the stretch, and yeah, the Daniel Jones injury combined with playing in a monsoon. The Jags aren't super fantasy friendly themselves. I think this game could have been fun. Like if this was in Indianapolis, maybe we're having a little different conversation. But nonetheless, we've hit on a lot of these games. If you guys have questions, please by all means bring them in to the chat. We will answer as many of them as we can. I do want to hit tight end. I want to hit defense. And of course, I want to hit our flag plants for the slate. Neil, why don't you start us off with some tight end discussion? This one feels kind of, normally I have a lot stronger. I don't have a really firm take at the tight end position. I don't know how you're feeling.
Yeah, I don't either, which I think is why I'm, I guess, inclined to go to the studs. Like I think Brock Bowers looks pretty good here. It's actually been a sort of a tight end funnel for the Broncos defense. It's a spot that I don't love it because I don't think they're going to be able to move the ball that easily. So they're not going to score that many points. So at the end of the day, it's like, okay, it's a tight end funnel, but like, are they even able to put up 2 touchdowns? I'm not even positive, but I think like still Bowers looks fine. I will pay up for McBride. I still think the price tag is reasonable on McBride, particularly in game stacks. I'm not going to be like well over the field, but I'll probably be right around the like 10% or so the field gets to there. Tyler Warren to me is the one that stands out as the best play. Now the rain doesn't make me like I said, doesn't make me like him better. I think I like him about the same as I did. Just such a nice spot against the Jaguars. Fairly close in total. Yeah, the total is just 1.5 point spread, which I like for Tyler Warren. Like if he's more involved in the second half than he usually is, I would like that quite a bit. So to me, the 3 studs are kind of the first place I'm going with the tight ends. Like you said, I don't love any other tight ends, but there are a few that sort of stand out to me. Brenton Strange does look good. He's just been really involved in the offense for the Jaguars when he's been active. He's only 3,900, so I think fairly strong play. Colston Loveland with no Romo Dunze could get more involved. He's 3,200. I like that game environment a bit. So I like Colston Loveland. I will play Dalton Kincaid despite the injury. I think just the matchup for me is good enough that I'm still going to take shots on Dalton Kincaid. AJ Barner with the tush push roll on Seattle, 3,200 looks pretty good. Kyle Pitts is kind of chalky, so I don't love Kyle Pitts. I imagine I'll be under the field if he's getting a ton of ownership. But I have to throw the name out there as like he projects pretty well. I think that's it. Oh, Harold Fannin, I guess, is the one. He's the only one that I was going to throw out from the Tennessee Cleveland game that we didn't already talk about. I'm like, I have some interest in Harold Fannin.
I just want Harold Fannin to be like, I just throw the ball a little bit. Like he's awesome. Like every week, every time he touches the ball, he looks awesome. Scored a touchdown last week, of course, but yeah, just they lost 26-8 and they threw 25 passes. Like it's pretty bleak in Cleveland. Jordan, what do you think about tight ends?
So the gross play, I think, is any of the Bills tight ends. I mean, I know Kincaid, you could play him, but like you could also play Dawson Knox. I think Jackson Hawes can also be played. I know that sounds terribly gross, but it's just what has worked every single week against that team. If you're 150 maxing, I would take few percent and throw it on Jackson Hawes with my Josh Allen stacks, because Josh Allen, you want to get a little unique with him, and that's the type of player that can do it. He's obviously the bare minimum, I think, at 2,500 right now in DraftKings. Mm-hmm. Loveland's good. I think Mason Taylor's fine. I know he hasn't really done a whole lot, but Miami has struggled to tight ends at times this year. Mason Taylor, again, against his dad's former team, and he could do it again, kind of get in the end zone. I think he got in there the first time they played. Darren Waller, I'm fine with too against the Jets. He scored twice the first matchup, and I still think he's their best red zone threat. I think if they want to throw the ball in the red zone, it's going to be through him. Obviously, I know Achane is very good, and they throw fades to Achane in the red zone. But it's just, I don't know. They're doing stuff out there. I don't know what Mike McDaniel's on, but I know that he throws the ball there. Zach Ertz has been an outlet for Jaden Daniels forever against teams that blitz a lot. Could see that in this one. He's going to need like an 8 reception game. And that's very possible against Brian Flores because of how quick you have to get the ball out. And, someone that's a veteran like that, not needing to downfield work. I think Dallas Goedert had a good game against Minnesota off the top of my head. The first time they played Philly. I know it was AJ Brown and Devonta Smith a lot. I think Goddard had a few like quick receptions, but maybe I'm not thinking. Maybe he didn't play that game, actually.
I don't remember.
I remember like AJ Brown and Devonta Smith breaking it because Jalen Hurts is just launching it to him. No, he only had 3 for 18. I was thinking of the Giants game the next week where he had 9 for 110 and a touchdown.
Yeah, that was the nuclear. That was the best Hurts Eagles passing game of the season, right? The Vikings AJ game. Brown and Devontae Smith both went crazy. Yeah.
So obviously those tight ends, but other than that, much interest. I'm still like strong stance on Kincaid. Like I will take Kincaid and Warren here, and if he doesn't play a lot and I'm wrong, unfortunately, I will just always buy into what the Bengals are doing at tight end. They have worse numbers than any team against tight ends last year, and we're only through 14 weeks,
right? Like, counting stuff.
we got 4 more weeks of just bad tight end.
It really is crazy. Like every week, you know, like as a DFS bro, you think about like, look, I get the matchup thing, but like it's not going to happen right? Like every week, the tight end isn't going to score 20 against the Bengals, and then it's just if Isaiah Likely doesn't do the fumble through the end zone, Hunter Henry drops 25 on these guys or whatever, and it's just like. You know, I get the schematic. Like, trust me, I understand the schematics and then the defensive quality and all that kind of stuff. It's like just through sheer variance, you would think 1 week the tight end wouldn't go nuts. But just I don't know. So we're putting it to the test this week. Dalton Kincaid dragging his leg around. Dawson Knox, Jackson Hawes getting the shot. That's 2 weeks this year, by the way. Jackson Hawes has gotten a shout on this show. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out how real this. What did Smiz always call it? With the card, it used to be the Cardinals. Tight ends against the Cardinals. I forget. It's like not the diagram or whatever. But
was it Vance Joseph Cardinals? I think
it was
yes. That's when he was really bad against
decision tree or something. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that or whatever. Where he just basically like shout out to Smith, but he would show up on the old like podcast with him and Levitan and CSU or whatever, and they would be like, what do you like at tight end? And so it's like, who are the Cardinals playing? And that's the Bengals. The flow chart. Thank you guys. Yeah, that's the Bengals. So we'll find out. We'll find out today, I think. All right, let's hit a few questions. Then we got to do defense, we got to do flag plants, and we got to bring crunch time in. Here's a good question from Boney says, FanDuel single entry, RJ Harvey and Jamar Chase, or Quinshon Judkins and Chase Brown?
I'd go with the Harvey Chase side.
What do you think about that one, Jordan?
Harvey Chase, it's tight, but I want that Bengals. Like I want Chase in that environment. It feels like he could have one of those 20-30 point games, or sorry, 22 like 25-30 point games in that one.
I really liked Judkins earlier this week, and maybe I should stick to it. This is one of the ones where I'm really struggling with. Like on Wednesday, I was like, oh baby, Judkins time. Like Samson was hurt, and it's the Titans and all that, and I'm waffling on that, and these are the things I struggle with on Sunday mornings. We talked like really briefly. I think Neil, you hit on it, but Diego asked about Juwan Johnson at tight end. I do think that game is pretty fun, and Juwan is getting some volume. We can talk a little bit about the Saints' value wide receivers. We haven't talked too much about Devine Bailey, who I do think is a pretty good play. Chris Olave also a pretty good play, but Juwan stealing a lot of work too. What do you think about him at tight end?
Yeah, Juwan, I don't think I did mention him, but it's over 70% rep participation in all except for one game this season, getting targeted by Shuck. I think that's a totally fine shout out.
What do you think, Jordan, about the Saints overall? Pass funnel defense for the Bucs. I'll admit I'm a little bit biased because I'm a noted. I talked about Mason Tipton a few weeks ago. I actually kind of think he's good. I kind of don't think Devon Vele's terrible. Like he's a professional wide receiver. I don't know what that means, but Chris Olave is definitely good. Juwan Johnson is good. Tyler Shuck, not so good. But the prices are good on these guys. Neil mentioned the Bucs. Like, is this a game where we got some Saints pieces that are interesting and some Bucs pieces that are interesting that's maybe going a little overlooked?
These two teams just kind of hate each other. Like since Brady has been to Tampa Bay, it's just like every matchup between these two is just like fist fights. It doesn't feel like anybody absolutely explodes in a lot of these games. And I think I'd be comfortable like miniing a Bucky Irving with one of the Saints pass catchers, but I'm not really sure I'd really want to buy into the environment. Tyler Shuck's been fine. I think he could put it like a decent day in DFS, but like considering what I think of Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, even Matt Stafford, some of these other, Jaden Daniels, it's like, I don't think Shuck is going to get, in the top 5 of QB scoring. And I think I'll find other players that kind of make up the ground of salary difference with, Shuck, even though if he's going to throw the ball a lot, because this is a pass funnel, it doesn't matter because Jaden Daniels and Josh Allen scored 30, 40 points on DK.
I like it. Lord King Guru just shouts out Mason Taylor at tight end. What a disappointing little run out for Mason Taylor. I thought we were going to get a pretty good stretch here with Tyrod, but maybe today bounces back. I don't think it's unreasonable. AD Mitchell and John Mechie have kind of taken over the passing offense, but maybe Mason Taylor bounces back a little bit. One more question. Neil J. Rod says, Brees, Judkins, or Chase Brown, if you had to pick one of those on DraftKings?
I think probably Brees Hall. It's pretty close between him and Judkins for me. I'm not as in on Chase Brown as Jordan is, so I think it's probably Breece Hall for me.
Jordan, what do you think about that trio? Because I feel like I'm deciding among and then where would Josh Jacobs fit? He's a similar price as well. Where would Josh Jacobs fit amongst that? I think that group of four is like, it's hard for me to envision one or two of them not having really good games, and so I think it's a big decision point for a lot of people.
I'm definitely on Team Chase Brown just because I just watched, the obviously the game with Bijan, whatever, but Tyler Algier killed him too in that game. And then you look back to just a few weeks ago, the Buccaneers, Sean Tucker just all of a sudden gets 30, 40 points, and it's like when the Bills are a bad run defense, they give up slate breaking like rushing. It's not just like 20, like 15, like the Bengals are just every week you're getting 20 from your running back. That's like the floor is 20, and then outside of that it's cool. But the Bills are like, no, we're gonna let this guy run for 200 yards because he scored 3 different 50-yard touchdowns. And then we're gonna be like, yeah, but Chase Brown on every other carry was like averaging 2 yards per attempt. It's like, yeah, I'll take the 2 60-yard touchdowns. I don't really care about the inefficiency.
You've convinced me. I'll add him to my pool. I think Jordan made.
He should be in the pool. I'm not, like, you go
3%
Chase Brown. You're 3 times the field. Like, and also you run it back. You just game stack it with Josh Allen. Like, that is the way that Josh Allen has to play Superman ball.
I'm pretty intrigued by some kind of unique stacks of because outside of Jamar Chase, there's like not a wide receiver I want to click in that game, really. Like T's like fine, right? And Gabe is like sure, right? And Neil's 185th lineup, sure, go for it, right? Like, but there's nobody like that. And like even Kincaid, I was excited to play Kincaid on Tuesday or whatever if I thought he was coming back, and it doesn't feel that good now. So it's like I can get access to this game through these running backs that feels really good. Again, famous last words, like double running back in the same game, and Josh Allen steals a goal line touchdown, and like everything goes to hell. But it's a weird game that is keeping ownership in check. Is kind of where I'm getting to. Is nobody knows how to put, like, how do you put together a game stack of this game? Like I don't know. It's bizarre. So I think that makes it kind of fun. Let's hit defenses, flag plants, and then we're gonna bring crunch time in. Jordan, I've been going to Neil first a lot. Jordan, you got a favorite defense?
There's a lot of good defenses this league. I feel like the one that popped out to me, because again, me and you have talked about it, we like paying up for defense. The Rams are one of the defenses that popped out because of how much the Cardinals are just throwing. It feels like they just kind of have to throw a lot, and that's what you want. You want a team that's trying to throw and not a team that's trying to run. But as always, the Browns are just the hardest to not just look at and click. Myles Garrett's going for that sack record. Cam Ward is as turnover prone as it gets when it comes to playing the quarterback position and putting the ball in danger. They're at home. It's just awful. I believe awful temperatures. I don't think it's awful weather. No, it's no game. It's definitely, it's going to be interesting to see those teams play out, and it's not getting as much ownership as the Titans are in that game, or the Commanders a little bit lower.
What do you think, Neil?
Yeah, I think like those shouts. I'm sort of interested by the Jaguars. Like they've had caused a lot of turnovers this year. Like Jordan said, you typically want to target teams that are throwing a lot with your defense, and probably this is not going to be a throwing a lot game in the rain. It'll probably be a lot of running, but they're going to have to throw some. And like I don't think Daniel Jones being hurt, I think it's kind of a nice spot for the Jaguars defense that I think has been pretty good at causing turnovers also. So I think it's kind of a sneaky defense that nobody's getting to. I like the Jaguars, but a lot of the I think Commanders against J.D. McCarthy obviously makes sense. Titans against Shedeur Sanders.
Did that hurt to say?
I'm just at this point I've accepted it. I'm like, it's whatever. It's fine. It's fine. I think like the chalk is generally pretty good, but Jaguars. Actually, Colts I think is same game. Kind of make the same argument.
I will add kind of not JJ McCarthy, but kind of what you guys both said into my favorite defense is the Broncos. The aforementioned Browns sacked Geno Smith 10 times when they played in that game. The Vegas Raiders offensive line it's truly embarrassing. An NFL team put that offensive line, the whole thing everything about the whole operation in Vegas is a disaster. They're at home, sure, but the Broncos have an awesome defense, a good pass rush, and spoiler alert, I think the Broncos know that they want to get the ball to Brock Bowers. So like Jack Besh, buddy, you better bring it today, because like I just don't know how they're going to move the ball, and then I think the Broncos are going to score, which to your point leads to the pass attempt, right? The pass, if you're worried about pass attempts, it's like, well, if you're down by 21, I know I'm going to get Geno dropbacks, and I know what Geno dropbacks lead to this year, and it's a lot of sacks. So I like the Broncos quite. That would be my favorite. I also mentioned the Rams earlier. Like, I think they're really good generally. Like, you can play the Rams in a lot of weeks, but also from a leverage perspective against the Cardinals, I think is a good play. All right, flag plant time, and then we got to bring on. Oh no, sorry, I do have to do this. Marier asked. Sorry. To the crunch time folks, we have to power rank. I know we did this a little bit before, but Jordan, just super quickly, like 4K and below wide receivers. So AD Mitchell doesn't count, but like 4K and below wide receivers, your favorite value wide receivers, like power rank. Let's do top three.
Top three. Let's see. Let me go. I would go Burden number 1 at 3.8, Calvin Austin number 2 at 3.4, and Gabe Davis 3 at 3.3.
Neil,
I'd go Burden number 1, Pat Bryant number 2, Gabe Davis number 3.
And I am Burden, Devon Vele, Pat Bryant would be my 3. Pat Bryant like sneakily emerging for the Broncos. Maybe more of a best ball bags fun thing to have, but some interesting stuff going on out there in Denver. All right, Neil, we got to do flag plants before we bring on crunch time. What is going to win a tournament today? Who do you have to have in your, let's say, Millie Maker lineup to win the week? What are we in, week 14? Week 14 DFS slate.
I'm going to go off the wall with Chris Godwin. I think Godwin continues to build up his playing time and his usage in that offense, and it's a nice spot. So I'll go with Chris Godwin at 5,300. Very little ownership.
Jordan?
Chase Brown. Been saying it pretty much the whole show. I think Chase Brown goes for 30 this weekend on DraftKings. I'd probably put that like towards 26 on FanDuel, because I think he just gets the touchdown variance, big play opportunity, and finds a way to exploit the Bills defense. What about you, Erik?
Yeah, I if you would have asked me on Wednesday, I think I would have said Quinshon Judkins. Dylan Sampson is in. That game is a disaster. Things have changed a little bit. So I'm going to another rookie, and it is RJ Harvey. I like I said, everything I just outlined about the Broncos defense is a lot of the reason why I like RJ Harvey and why the Sean Payton stuff is concerning, very much concerning. But like, I just don't even know how the Raiders are going to score. Like, I don't know how they're going to get a first down, and that's pretty darn good for a $5,700 running back in a potentially incredibly positive game script. He can catch passes. Last week he was wildly inefficient and still got over 20 fantasy points, and that feels like what we could get today. If you get some efficiency, you get one of those home runs. I like it. Yeah, let's bring on crunch time and let them take us up to lock. TJ and Brit, going to take you guys all the way up to lock. If we didn't get your questions, I do apologize. Please, these guys will get you. But TJ, other than the fact that you don't know what a superstar is, what other takes do you have today for people that are important?
I'm sorry that, I'm just trying to not put somebody in a box that they don't want to be in. Anthony Edwards says he's not a superstar, and so I was just trying to listen to the man. That's all I was doing. I was just trying to respect what he said. That's all. But jokes aside, I just had to give it to Neil a little bit extra because I had the highest finishing lineup in the Millie Maker last Sunday that didn't have the Seahawks defense. And so if Max Brosmer wasn't just like a total train wreck,
it was bad.
Would have had a big day. So,
dude, the underhand pass.
A couple jabs at Neil.
Yeah, what was he doing? Like,
the underhand pass was
Will Levis, dude. Will Levis, baby.
Just wild.
Britt, how we feeling about week 14? I always love to ask Britt, what's the I know his picks because I see them on Scores and Odds. I get the notifications and all that kind of stuff. But I always like to hear Britt's lock-ish of the week. What do you got?
So it's maybe not a lock, but someone I think you should be putting in your tournament lineups for sure. Someone Jordan was talking about coming back from injury. Not really a full-time player anyway, but going up against the Bengals, you got to have a tight end. You got to play Dalton Kincaid today.
God, you guys are convincing me that I literally have a couple of teams I'm deciding what to play in my main team. and I have a Dalton Kincaid version.
Or not.
And I think you guys are talking me into the Dalton Kincaid thing. But we got to get out of here. Again, if we miss you guys' questions, please drop it to these two fine gentlemen. They will answer them, of course, sufficiently, probably better than I would. And we will see you guys in week 15. Cheers.
TJ, what's going on, dude? You've been a busy man this morning behind the scenes, popping in on all the shows. Now you get FaceTime for the final 40 minutes of today. What's going on, dude?
Doing well. Happy to be here. I gotta say it's nice to have you back on. I get a little break from playing the host role and just get to slide back into the analyst chair. Makes it a little bit easier to keep an eye on the bots that like to arise in crunch time and start attacking our YouTube chat. So happy to have you here, ready to break down the slate. It's a fun one.
Yeah, the bots. It's always about the bots. Yeah, let's jump right into this. Put the screen share up, TJ. First thing I want to do is I want to go to Roth's latest tweet for everybody. I'm just going to read it. Looks like you guys should be able to see it. He says, in the end, I don't think there's a single game on today's slate I would alter my lineup for based on weather. Questionable, close ones, nothing really awful. I guess it looks like the Tampa Bay game is going to get some rain. That wasn't really on the radar maybe 24 hours ago, but it's starting to creep in. Saints defense, if you're looking for the ultra cheap play in that one, is a little interesting. But Jacksonville is going to get rain pretty much throughout. Tampa Bay's creeping in. Buffalo, there is snow on the ground. It's sticking. I've got friends at the game. I've seen a couple of photos. It's going to be a snow game in Buffalo for sure. And then just cold in Green Bay and Kansas City. Kansas City, we don't really have to worry on the main slate. But generally, not making a lot of major adjustments. It's the wind. It's high winds combined with rain or snow that really tend to move us off of games. TJ, what's your latest take on Ross' tweet here?
Yeah, I kind of hoped the Jacksonville weather was going to get a little bit worse because I was mostly off of that game. And so it just made me feel better about not playing a ton of that game, that it was getting really rainy. Now that it looks like a lot of that's going to happen before the game, it could potentially miss the stadium a little bit. It does make me feel a little bit worse about being light on it. I just did throw two small lineups in. One is a Lawrence stack with Jonathan Taylor, the other one a Daniel Jones stack with Warren and Pierce. And so I did just throw those two in as kind of like a last second shot because I'm so light on that game. And other than that, I'm not really factoring in the weather too much. I have a lot of Saints defense against Tampa Bay without Wirfs. And so if that game decides to start picking up on the rain, at least those will look good. And then the snow stuff, I don't really care. Playing in the snow is fun.
Yeah, it's what we all did as kids, right? These guys get to do it for millions of dollars. Sounds like a fun way to spend your afternoon, if you ask me. All right, let's talk some ownership. Let's talk some plays we're looking at today. I've got SimLabs pulled up. If you guys want to check this out along with everything else at RotoGrinders, you can get a 3-day pass. If you don't want a full season commitment, you can get half off of it. It's $9.99. You get Lineup HQ. You get SimLabs, you get all the articles, you get access to the filters. You probably get to see a bunch of the stuff TJ does on the writing side as well, but make sure to check that out if you're interested in what you see here on SimLabs. All right, TJ, let's talk. I'll talk a little cash, mix in FanDuel, DraftKings. I'll let you handle a little bit of tournaments. So on DraftKings today for cash, to me, it's basically split between two people, kind of like the ownership is showing here. It's either Jaden Daniels, who shouldn't be a 6K quarterback, in a dome against Minnesota. I know he's coming back from injury, but they're fully healthy. He's got all the weapons. It looks like he should be able to have a reasonably good game. They're not going to risk Jaden Daniels' career or another injury unless he was 100%. So at 6,000, he's looking really good to me. The other option is to go all the way up to Josh Allen to me, who is probably going to be asked to do it all, rushing, receiving, maybe some goal line work today. You get, if you pair him with James Cook, you get access to almost, in theory, all of the Bills' touchdowns today. I think that's also the other way today. And I'm finding on FanDuel much easier to get to Josh Allen personally today. He's going to be anchoring my cash team on FanDuel today. Like I said, I'm just finding it easy to get to Josh Allen. If you play some of the mid-priced wide receivers and don't go all the way up to the top, you can get Allen in there pretty easily. So that's where I stand from a cash game perspective. TJ, real quick, any thoughts on that? And then give me some of your give me your thoughts on them with being the two highest owned quarterbacks, and then start working your way down to your other favorite plays.
Yeah, if I can, I would definitely prefer Josh Allen. Jaden Daniels, the Vikings defense has just been really strong lately. Daniels shouldn't be limited from a rushing standpoint, because it was an arm injury. It wasn't It wasn't a lower body injury. So you should still think that's fine from this standpoint. But just the worries of, I kind of feel like this could be a slow pace defensive grinded out game because the Vikings offense can't move the ball a ton. I think Washington's going to try and run the ball a ton. I do worry a little bit, but his price is just too cheap on DraftKings. So I do prefer Allen, but totally understand if people want to go down to Daniels. The other one I'd throw out just like in the conversation is I don't think it's wrong to play Jacoby Brissett in cash. I'm not playing a cash game lineup today, but my main single entry that's in a bunch of small field stuff is Jacoby Brissett. And then when we start talking about some tournament pivots, I love just continuously playing Tyrod Taylor at low ownership. Nobody really ever wants to go to Tyrod Taylor, but this offense has been moving, and now they get a great matchup against Miami. And you got two clear stacking partners with Mechie and Adonai Mitchell. If you really want to go to a tight end because Mason Taylor's playing in Miami or against, his dad's old team, sure. But I prefer AD Mitchell and Mechie with him. I really like Tyrod Taylor stacks in tournaments. And I also like going cheap to Tyler Shuck stacks in tournaments. He's another guy that I'm high on today just because he's super cheap. It's not because I think the Saints offense is anything special, but yes, you have Olave up there, but you have two really cheap stacking partners in Jawan Johnson and Devon Vele you can go with alongside Tyler Shuck. And it's all about the lineups you can build when you do that. So you have a double stack of the Saints with Tyler Shuck, and all of a sudden you can afford Devon Achane and James Cook and Jackson Smith and Jigba and those type of guys. So really like going cheap down to him today. And then outside of those cheap, like Tyrod Taylor, Tyler Shuck, Jacoby Brissett, then I'm going up. Then I'm spending up at the quarterback position. So Josh Allen, Matt Stafford, Joe Burrow, going to be my three favorites to spend up for it in tournaments. Bills, we kind of know them as a really bad run defense and pretty good pass defense, but their pass defense has been trash without Joey Bosa. And so Joey Bosa's out for this one. I really like going to Joe Burrow as a double stack. It's really hard to do Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins all together, especially if you're trying to get James Cook as a run back. And I think because of that, it's going to give you some unique lineups. So I do really like going to Burrow stacks today. Stafford, same thing, same thought process. It's really hard to do Stafford, Puka, and Devontae Adams all together. And so I'm going to try it, and I'm going to get it in a few lineups, and they're going to look a little funky in spots, but I do really like that stack today. You can just pick one of them and then go Colby Parkinson as well. You can go all three, but Stafford, I'm a big fan of today. Only other two players in my pool, and I'm just getting them in one lineup apiece, are Bo Nix and JJ McCarthy. Don't feel great about either of them, but Denver, Vegas, that's another game I just didn't have a ton of exposure to. I'm light on Genty. I'm light on Bowers. I'm light on Denver as a whole. So I did a full game stack there. And then the JJ McCarthy side of things, I was really hoping he'd be chalky so I could be like, haha, screw it. I don't want to play JJ McCarthy. He's looked terrible. But he does project well, and nobody's playing him. That's the thought process everybody seems to have is, I don't want to play JJ McCarthy. He's terrible. He still runs, and his assets and his weapons are really cheap. And so I have him in one of my 20 lineups.
I'm gonna save you one of your 20 lineups. Get that JJ McCarthy trash out there, TJ. No, I'm not on JJ McCarthy at all. I know.
I mean, 3 of his 5 starts, it's worked.
I understand that. Just maybe it's more from a perspective. It's a reasonably good spot, right? He's cheap. Justin Jefferson's come down in price. Addison's down in price. I understand that. They're in a dome, right? So the blitz is going to boost that up through the sky. And on a week where we do have some weather, even though it's not horrific weather in some places, being in a dome, that's where we want to play all of our games if we had a choice, probably anyway. So I guess
what it's worth. I don't like it. I'm not saying everybody load up JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, you got 1 out of 20.
1 out of 20.
Yeah, I like your Tyrod Taylor call. I have 2 lineups. He's on one of them for tournaments. I love that. And it's kind of like the Tyler Shuck, right? Where you get the Tyrod Taylor and the Shuck lineups. They're cheap, and then you get the superstars to mix with those, right? Instead of having only 1 or 2 superstars, you can get 3, possibly 4 mid to high end players on those lineups. So those work out really well if those high end plays do end up having a good day. Anything else you want to talk about a quarterback? I think we covered that. I'm going to move us along to running back. And it's to me, it's pretty similar on the sites. On DraftKings specifically, James Cook is too cheap for cash games. He's, I think, $1,000 cheaper than Achane, and he's, I think, $100 more on FanDuel. So to get Cook, whose rushing total line is basically the bonus on DraftKings and FanDuel, right? It's set at 99.5 or 100 yards, something like that. So Cook expected to have a very big game today on DraftKings. I think he's probably, if you have to have one of the higher price guys, he would be my preferred option today. I just think you have really big upside against the Cincinnati defense here. Achane, no one's going to fault you for playing him as well. On either site today, you get the rushing receiving combo. It's against the Jets. They've turned into a very run-heavy team over the past few weeks as Mike McDaniel has figured out, hey, Tua can't throw the ball to anybody anymore, so let's just give it to Achane. He seems to be pretty good, and it's the Jets today, so he's looking pretty good. Breece Hall's kind of like, I do agree with this, is like your mid-tier play. TJ, would you rather have Hall or Judkins today from a safe floor combined ceiling combo? That's a decision a lot of people would have today. What's your choice between that $100 difference on DraftKings?
Yeah, I think, and you can even throw Josh Jacobs in there too, because he's close-ish to the price tag, only 6,800.
Yep.
I think I would prefer Breece Hall above those two. Having said that, if I have AD Mitchell or John Mechie already in that lineup, then I'm going to Judkins or Jacobs and would basically rank it, if I can afford him, Jacobs, if not Judkins. And so Breece Hall, if I have no other Jets, if I already have another Jet, then I'm going with Judkins.
All right. The other decision people might have, if you are including one of the higher priced wide receivers, if you want a Chase, a Puka, or a JSN, you probably are going to be playing around with one, if not two of these guys on your DraftKings team today. And that would be RJ Harvey and Kenneth Walker. I think they're 56 or 5,500, something like that. They're $100 difference there. We see Harvey drawing more ownership, almost double that of Kenneth Walker here today. Do you have a preference between those two if you're messing around in like that lower tier of running backs we expect to get a reasonable amount of touches today?
Yeah, and for what it's worth, I'm not getting to either of them. I have no Harvey and I have no Walker, but of those two, I prefer RJ Harvey if I'm getting to one of them. The guy that I'm actually getting to, and I don't like this guy better than Harvey or Walker, it's just because of the price tag that had me getting there. I needed the couple $100. It was Bam Knight for tournaments. And so I would not be playing any Bam Knight in cash. It's a terrible matchup. But in some of my Matt Stafford lineups where I really needed a cheap running back, that's where I went to Bam Knight just for that run back correlation.
Yep, I can understand it. Knight and probably Chris Rodriguez are probably the two cheaper guys I'd be looking at today. I'd probably play both of those guys over Devin Neal today. Would you agree with that? Or do you? Neal's PPR is a little bit more enticing, but he's also a little bit more expensive than Rodriguez on DraftKings today.
Agreed with that. And just like two extremely large field stuff, guys that I would throw in there, Blake Corum, slowly getting more and more work for the Rams all season. And this is a game that we potentially could see turning into a blowout. And that's when Blake Corum really shines. And so I don't mind Blake Corum, especially if you're running it in like a Brissett garbage time stack. And then again, super large field stuff, Michael Carter in a lineup where I'm playing Stafford. I need a really cheap running back. I have Puka and I have Devontae Adams. Maybe I have Trey McBride in that lineup too. Then I'm going to Michael Carter because he's like 44, 4,600, whatever he is, and he might catch a few passes.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think the player I would like more for tournaments today is Bucky Irving. He's someone I'm actively eyeing today. We have a little bit of rain in that game, and you just flush it all out, right? You've got Baker, who's clearly not 100%. He's down a left tackle. There's going to be some rain in this game where it gets sloppy. And Irving came back last week, and he's basically the alpha. He's going to get fed the ball today. I think almost unquestioned. And at 7,000 on DraftKings, he's a little bit more higher priced on FanDuel, so a little bit more out of reach there for me compared to some of the other names. But Bucky looks like one of my favorite tournament plays compared to ownership. I know SimLabs is telling me his ownership is a little, it might be too high. I'm going to disagree with that there. What's your take on maybe Bucky at coming in at 14%? Where do you have him in your your lineups right now?
I love Bucky Irving tonight. 20% ownership is how much I have him, but that's actually my third highest owned running back behind James Cook, behind Devon Achane. And so really, really like Bucky Irving today. Cook is my first choice, Achane's 2, but Bucky Irving slots in at 3. If I can get to him over the Halls, the Jacobs, the Judkins, I am going to quite a bit of Bucky Irving today. And then the other guy I'd want to throw out for large field tournaments in that price range as well would be Chase Brown, who Jordan talked about him on the last show. I'm playing Chase Brown specifically in Josh Allen teams. I'm not getting to him on his own, but we've just seen, and because I don't like this role that Chase Brown has now, when we're getting full workhorse 90% of snaps, Chase Brown, I play him every week. But now that P. Ryan's back, that drops back into the 60s in terms of his snap share. And P. Ryan starts playing a lot of the third down and 2-minute drill work. But this Bills rush defense has just been so bad that in my Josh Allen teams, I love pairing him with Chase Brown.
There's a couple other guys. Running back's pretty deep today. First, I want to tell you guys, click the like button. If you get me up to 150, we're at 130. I'll give you a couple bets from scores and odds that I got up there for this week. Derrick Henry. Someone I like, and I agree with SimLabs here at, showing pretty good leverage on the field here. If Henry's coming in at like 7%, what the Bills are still running against the Steelers from last week. I think they had 51 rushing attempts. Absolutely insane. You got Lamar Jackson, who's clearly not 100%. Their passing game's a little off. Is there ever been a more Derrick Henry? Let me wait. It is December, TJ. I did check the calendar. So we know Derrick Henry's about to have a big game here. 7% Derrick Henry at a reasonable price tag, 100 plus and 2 touchdowns, get you there for tournaments. And that's squarely on the table for him today.
I don't actually have any interest in Derrick Henry in tournaments. This is going to be a low scoring game. And I've just been watching a lot of this Baltimore offense lately. They look so bad. And I'm not getting there this week.
All right. I do like Derrick Henry. We'll see where that goes. And the other one, Jonathan Taylor, did you get, his prices come down a little bit. It's, there's going to be some weather in that game. Maybe not as bad as expected here. He was like in the MVP consideration a few weeks ago. The 200-yard games have stopped, but this could always be one. Him and Robinson are the two guys. I would probably try to pay up for Taylor over Bijan against Seattle, although Bijan's his receiving game should be really, really good today. But what are you doing maybe those two specifically up near the top of the salary range today?
Yeah, I am very light on Jonathan Taylor. As of right now, I'm looking around like, hey, where are a couple other lineups that I could maybe get him in? There, I just found a second one that I can put him into. But before that, all I had him in was in my Trevor Lawrence team, which I just built as GPP Final Takes was closing. And so I'm very light on Jonathan Taylor, not because I don't like him. He is the player I am most afraid of being underweight on today. But I just like him less than Achane, and I like him less than Smith and Jigba in that same price range.
All right. Anyone else at running back, or do you want to try? I think we covered just about everyone towards the top here. We didn't get too much on Josh Jacobs. He should be pretty heavily involved today. This is like a must-win game for the Packers. He's going to get the ball 20-plus times. Has some good receiving chops, although with Reed back, maybe they'll start. Reed's not going to get a ton of playing time today. Maybe some of those receptions start to fade away for Jacobs, but where would you rank him? He's a little bit more expensive than a Breece Hall, a Judkins, a little less than Bucky Irving. I would probably take Bucky over Jacobs straight up. I think there's a lot more explosiveness there. I'd pay the extra $200 or whatever, but where do you stand on Jacobs?
Yeah, Bucky over Jacobs straight up for sure for me. I have him in 2 of my 20 lineups just kind of because he fit. I couldn't get up to Bucky. I had a Bears receiver on the other side, so I thought, hey, why not? Let's go Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable take. So, all right, let's go to receiver. But before I do, some of you have probably been living in Missouri for a long time, right? Playing DFS. Now you can hit up the sports books. If you have any questions about that, you can find the best promo codes when signing up. Just look in the show description below. Welcome, Missouri. I'm a little annoyed. In New York, they took away all of my sweepstakes sports books, so I have to go back. Those were great while it lasted, but I have to go back to the FanDuel and DraftKings and all of that here, and join just the rest of you in Missouri. So we'll get to all of that in just a little bit. But let's talk wide receiver here, TJ. Michael Wilson chalk, like cash game lock, first player in your lineup probably this week. On both sites, there's no Marvin Harrison, and even some of the backups. There's no Greg Dortch. I forgot the other guy's name that's not in there too. There's really nobody to catch passes on this offense other than Michael Wilson and Trey McBride and your aforementioned Michael Carter. Where do you stand on Wilson for tournaments? Again, he's your first player in a cash lineup on both sites today. For me, How are you handling him in tournaments at near 40% on DraftKings?
Yeah, I think that's too low. I think 40% is too low. I think I'm doubling that. I have 88% Michael Wilson today in tournaments. He is in all but I think 2 of my lineups. Absolutely loading up on Michael Wilson today. Just a terrific play. He's going to get 20 targets. Even if the Rams dominate Arizona, even if they double team him all game, they're going to throw the ball 50 times, and 40% of those are going to go to him. 40% of those are going to go to Trey McBride, and maybe 20% goes to a couple other guys. And so I'm loading up on Michael Wilson. I'm going to be far, far over the field today. He's my number 1 choice. Luther Burden is going to be my second favorite receiver today that I'm getting to, only 3,800. He should just probably be about 6K in this spot without Roma Dunze. And so with that being the case, I'm getting to a ton of Burden as well. 88% Wilson, 56% Luther Burden today. I do really like Adonai Mitchell at that price tag. That ownership is very high, though, and this is a Rich Rebar stat that he pulled on the Pick 6 show this week, but he brought up about how Miami runs 2 safeties high more than, or at 5th, the highest rate in the league. And in that situation, it is John Mechie who has like a 35% target rate. And so I'm not saying Adonai Mitchell is a bad play. I still think he's the cash play. He's got a higher ceiling. But Mechie as a pivot off of Adonai Mitchell today in tournaments, I think is a really, really good play. And then, of course, I'm playing a lot of them together with my Tyrod lineups as well. We're kind of going in reverse, talking cheap guys first, but I'll stick with that theme, and then we can talk about the expensive options. 2 other tournament guys I like for cheap. Devon Vele, one of my favorite choices today. He's just been getting a ton of targets for the Saints recently. And then as a pivot off of Luther Burden, I'm getting to a lot of DJ Moore at 4,800 on DraftKings as well.
Yeah, everyone's going to be going to Burden here. So I mentioned Wilson, one of your first players on your cash team on both sites. Mitchell's probably one of the second on DraftKings at 4,600 on FanDuel. You can question it. I think he's 6,000 over there. But Mitchell, again, he's the man beater. He's always open against man. The zone, the 2 high, is a little bit more difficult for him, especially on the deep throws, the big ADOT plays that he can tend to break off. But he should be what, at least in the 5,200 range on DraftKings today with like a Terry McLaurin and Jacoby Myers, those type of players, TJ, and he's 4,600. And you need every bit of your salary this week on DraftKings. So I think Mitchell's in there. I'm finding basically your lineups are Wilson and Mitchell with either Burden, or you're flipping it around and you're using one of Chase or Puka or JSN, to get one of the high-priced wide receivers in there, with Wilson and Mitchell being the favorite there. What would your take be, TJ? If you're not the cash team, I'm on the 3 cheap wide receivers generally on DraftKings, I believe currently, without getting to a Chase, a Puka, or JSN in cash. I just to get the $3,800 value, to get the $4,600 value, to get the $4,800, to get the $5,600 value on Michael Wilson. That's where I see the value this week on the cheap wide receivers. If you had to pick one of the higher priced ones, which one would be your target for cash?
For cash, I think probably Jamar Chase, just because that $800 is very valuable off of Jackson Smith and Jigba. For tournaments, it's definitely Jackson Smith and Jigba. That was another thing Rich brought up on the podcast this week, was how often the Falcons go single high coverage up top. And that's kind of where Jackson Smith and Jigba really feasts. And so only 10% projected ownership for him. He's really expensive. He's tough to get to. I love him for tournaments this week. Puka's the guy that I'm lightest on, but because I'm playing some Stafford, I do still have some access to him.
You can see Puka and JSN, SimLabs. Not enough people are playing those today with how the explosiveness they provide in fantasy scoring. So if you're looking to get a little different today, Puka, JSN, I would absolutely like those in tournaments. I just can't get to them in cash today personally. I also like SimLabs Pop and Deebo Samuel. I think a lot of people are wrongly on Terry McLaurin. And Deebo looks to me like the guy you want to play against Minnesota. You want that slot middle guy who can run after the catch. That's exactly what Deebo is. I like him straight up. Maybe not straight up. McLaurin has been such a high target share player, but at the ownership, I do agree with SimLabs here, putting him up here as one of the highest leverage wide receivers of the slate. The cheap plays, if you had to rank them, I think you had Burden with Vele I think they did this to close out the last show.
Yeah, I actually had the same ranking as Beimfohr for the
Yeah,
Steph
me too.
guys.
Me too. Yeah.
Burden 1, Vele 2, Patrick Bryant 3.
Yep. Yeah. So I would. That's exactly how I would rank the 3 cheap wide receivers. Let's find. McLaurin would be someone I would be not using as high as the field today. He would be one of the clear fades for me in favor of Debo. For me personally, a couple other guys that are getting some ownership. Let's talk about these. Christian Watson, right? We've got Jaden Reed coming back here. They're very different players. Reed's this shorter, middle of the field type player that gets a lot of yards after the catch. Watson, more of the big play, deep target threat. I don't really see them two taking away each other's targets. But with Reed back and playing, maybe 40% of the snaps or something like that is probably what I would expect today. Do you think Watson deserves to be up there towards some of the higher ownership, given how well he's playing and a reasonable price tag for him today?
Yeah, I do. This is a really great range of receivers in general, but I do think Watson warrants that price tag. I'm getting to about 8% of him, so I'm going to be underweight, but I do still have a little bit of Christian Watson. That's same with McLaurin. A little bit, but I'm going to be underweight. I do like the Debo pivot call off of Terry McLaurin today. I think that's a really great call. But I think my favorite tournament pivot in that range is somebody who's lower owned is going to be Alec Pierce.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Pierce way down here. And, people all week long, it's been rain. And we're off saying, hey, maybe it's not going to be as much rain or as hard a rain as we possibly think of it. That will allow maybe a couple more deep shots. I do like Pierce still probably. If there was no weather in this game, right, you'd be willing to pay, $5,700 for Pierce? And he's sitting there, $5,100 on DraftKings today? So I like that call quite a bit, TJ. That's a good one. Anyone else you have any interest in? What about Jacoby Myers? We'll go to the other guy in that game here. 6 or 7 receptions for 60 or 70 yards. If he finds the end zone, he's getting there.
I have him in my Lawrence team, but that's about it. There is one other guy I want to mention, not because I am confident in this, but I think it is worth playing in a large field tournament if you're trying to get very, very different. There he is. Just found him. Andre Bachiella. I heard of this guy for the first time yesterday, but he hasn't done anything all season long. But we are looking at a situation where Marvin Harrison Jr. is out. Greg Dortch is out. Xavier Weaver is not expected to play after hurting himself in practice on Thursday and then not practicing on Friday. If Weaver plays, I am not playing Bachiella. Maybe you could play Weaver, but I'm still kind of worried that they end up just splitting that 50-50 and neither one of them does anything. But as it stands right now, assuming Xavier Weaver is out, I am playing Andre Bachiella in my Brissett single entry team.
Give me I'll go to Elijah Higgins, maybe a little more 2 tight ends down there.
Yeah, I got him in I think 2 lineups as well.
Yeah, as an ultra cheap tight end, I think he might be out there too. But you got to dig deep once in a while. And a Bachiella or a Higgins for Arizona, someone's got to get targets out there today. If Brissett's throwing 45 times a game, right? So they got to go somewhere. They're going to go to Wilson. They're going to go to McBride, but maybe they go to some of these other players as well. All right, I think we handled wide receiver pretty good. Let's jump over to tight end. Kyle Pitts. So I said at the start of this, the absolute tournament swerve is to move away from Kyle Pitts at high ownership and go to Dalton Kincaid without question for me in a tournament today. Kincaid is, like a 60% snap player anyway, so we aren't really worried about his workload.
Has no limitations for week 14.
Did that just come across Kincaid?
On cue.
Oh yeah. So like Kincaid, man, if he wasn't coming back from injury this week, and it was a pretty reasonably long injury, I would play him straight up in cash over Kyle Pitts. But Pitts is in a reasonably good spot. Kirk Cousins likes him. He can't really throw to anybody else. He's the short, middle of the field target. That's what.
The thing is that he's in a terrible spot, though. He's facing the Seahawks.
I understand that, but I mean, I don't know. Kirk Cousins can't get the ball to anybody else at this point in his career.
He's not going to get the ball to him either. I don't like it personally. I am full fading Kyle Pitts today. Even in a cash game, I would be going elsewhere. I don't really understand it. Sure, he'll get some targets. So will Tyler Warren, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Jawan Johnson. The list just goes on and on and on. I would way rather play Kincaid straight up. I love the Kincaid call as a tournament pivot today, but I can't do the Kyle Pitts thing today. I get that it's tough to get to, but it's shocking to me that we're projecting Trey McBride for sub 10% ownership, single digit. He's going to get 20 targets today. And 15, at least 15. I would take the over on Michael Wilson and Trey McBride combining for over 30 targets this week. And so I am just loading up on him with all my Brissett teams. And then we talked about as like a super low owned punt in Elijah Higgins also.
Yeah, Barner, you can maybe get a tush-push touchdown. He's been involved in the Seattle offense a little bit as well. He's 3,200. I'm trying. The problem, I can't get to Kincaid. I'm zeroed out on salary on my cash team on DraftKings, and I don't know. I can't move off of any of these things. I could go from a defense to a cheaper defense, from like the Commanders to the Saints. But I don't know if I'm going to do that to get Kincaid, although I probably should, honestly. Maybe we'll see where that goes. But if Kincaid has no restrictions, I mean, Kincaid is the absolute nut tournament play off of Pitts, without question for me today. There are a couple other options. I mentioned if you had to pick McBride, would you pretend you don't have Jacoby Brissett on your team? Would you rather have McBride or would you rather have one of the high-priced wide receivers?
I think McBride.
So so McBride's coming in cheaper, and he's going to give you, you're thinking just as many target and opportunities and expected fantasy points as some of these other high-end wide receivers for a cheaper price.
Yeah, like if I had 8,200 remaining, I think I would still prefer Trey McBride over Jamar Chase.
All right, straight up today. All right, So if you wanted to move off of
Pitts, cash Chase
So moving off of Pitts, I think the easiest swerve for you would probably be to go to like a Juwan Johnson in a cash, or to go the extra 100 to Kincaid. Those would probably be my options if someone wanted to entertain that. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would take the shot on Kincaid with my money, but knowing that is probably not the smart cash thing to do based on ownership and projection. But if it were me personally, I think I would do Kincaid.
All right. Brenton Strange, nice little tournament swerve, I think, today, too. Even if you're not playing a Trevor Lawrence lineup, he seems like he's like the number one target, or 1A, 1B with Jacoby Myers right now. They're basically using Brian Thomas Jr. as a clear-out player. So Strange is pretty good. Tight end's reasonably deep. Kincaid's going to get pushed up past this 1.5 ownership. He'll probably approach, I would say, 5% probably in some of these large field tournaments, maybe a little lower than that. But he's going to get up there. Waller can always catch a touchdown or two. That's probably, other than Higgins, I don't think I'd go to, I understand people wanting to try Mason Taylor, but I would just go to like a Higgins as an ultimate cost saver, or even a Dawson Knox, right? Every tight end scores against the Bengals, right? So you can, even a Dawson Knox at 2,900, even with Kincaid, no restrictions. Knox, the Knox teams looked really good when I was kind of on the fence yesterday if Kincaid was going to play. But I've since moved that around. But even Knox can catch 3 for 40 and a touchdown. That'll get you there at 2,900 and put you in contention to win a tournament, unless one of these other tight ends have a huge day, which is certainly possible. But Knox is another sleeper of mine to go with Elijah Higgins. Anything else at the position, TJ? Or you want to try to do a couple defenses and then maybe get maybe one or two questions in, hopefully?
Defense, play literally any of them this week if you can afford the Seahawks, Broncos, or Browns. Great. I would rank them Broncos 1, Browns 2, Seahawks 3. Washington in cash, very cheap, very good spot this week. And literally any of them for tournaments. I'm high on the Saints and Pittsburgh as 2 cheap punts this week.
Yeah, Saints are my cheap play with the rain, no Wirfs, Hurt Baker, no Mike Evans. There's a lot going for the Saints today. Still, they're not a great defense, but I think they're the cheap defense I would play if you need to search for some extra salary, other than Washington or Tennessee down there. And I do like, what would be your favorite pay-up defense today if you had to pick between maybe, say, the Browns, Denver, or Seattle?
Favorite pay-up defense between Browns, Denver.
All right, so I'll take Denver against the Raiders. I like that too. I think, the Browns also in play pretty well for me too. All right, so that's going to do it for defenses. Let's go. TJ, you got any questions queued up? Probably not, because you've been on the show today.
Yes, actually, I'll hit you with Discord first, because there was some cash questions from earlier.
All right.
Would you rather DK cash Jamar Chase and the Raiders defense or Quinshon Judkins and the Browns defense?
I'd probably do Junkins and the Browns on that one.
FanDuel cash last running back in. You want Genty, Walker, or RJ Harvey?
Oh man, that's I like Harvey. I think the touchdown upside for him today is very good. I'm not on the Genty PPR scam train. It's too tough against Denver today.
Especially on FanDuel. So I'm with you. I would go
Harvey and Walker are very close for me. I think most of the projections like Walker by like a quarter of a point, or so basically it's a toss up. I'm gonna go with Harvey.
We got a rapid fire here. Bucky Irving or Josh Jacobs? Is Bucky Irving. FanDuel GPP favorite correlation, one line of big tourney. They tagged me in this one, so I'll go Brissett, McBride, and Wilson. FanDuel GPP, you want Genty or Walker? Last piece.
Walker. I'm not doing FanDuel with Genty today.
FanDuel single entry, you want Devin Neal or Dalton Kincaid?
I would roll the dice on Kincaid for sure. I think there's too much upside.
Genty is popping. Why? It's because he's getting a ton of targets. He's had 8 targets in 3 straight games, getting a lot of catches. They're not taking him off the field like they were earlier in the year. So that is where the projection comes from. Adonai Mitchell or Alec Pierce?
For cash, definitely Mitchell. For tournaments, I don't hate your call on Pierce. That seems like a pretty good swap. It costs a couple bucks extra, but they're essentially the same. They were the same player in Indianapolis. It's just Pierce didn't fumble the ball when he was going to the end zone. He got to keep his job.
DK Cash, Allen, Browns, Walker, or Jaden, Achan, and Saints?
Oh man, that's kind of what I was looking at. I would take Daniels with Achan and the Saints at this point.
Yeah, I think so would I. FanDuel single entry, Loveland or Pitts?
Pitts is going to be pretty popular on
Loveland, baby. Go Loveland.
I'd take Loveland.
FanDuel cash, Bo Nix, Christian Watson, or Stafford and AD Mitchell?
I don't like your quarterback choices for cash today, but probably what was it? Stafford and Mitchell?
Yeah. Thielen or Zacchaeus? DK tournaments, go Zacchaeus in that one. I actually think he's viable. 3K flats on DraftKings. I saw a question, 3,100 or less flex. I think you could go Olamide Zacchaeus in that spot as well. Juwan Johnson or Kincaid, DK GPP?
I would go Kincaid at this point. Kincaid is like, to me, Kincaid's the best tournament.
One word answers, Brit. There's 1 minute to
Kincaid.
Loveland. Lamar Jackson or Daniel Jones for season long? Lamar Jackson. DK, Harvey or Vidal for Sunday, Monday slate?
Not Vidal.
Harvey. DK GPP, 3,100 or less. Zacchaeus. Mitchell or Pierce? We said Mitchell, cash, Pierce tournaments. Love for a Bears stack? No, I'm not getting to any Caleb Williams today. Cash, Vele or AD Mitchell for Yahoo?
Mitchell.
Got to go Mitchell in that one. I'll run back to the Discord quick. We got about 30 seconds left. No, we have hit all of the questions right as we approach lock. Who's your slate breaker today?
Kincaid for sure for tournaments, but I don't know. I didn't have enough time to mess around with it in cash. Probably going to regret that. But it's 100 more, and I'm at 0. I'm not going to blow up my whole team just to switch a tight end at the last second.
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially because like Kyle Pitts is not going to break you in cash because you'll be in over half the lineups, right? So like you're not too worried about that.
So I guess that's going to do it for today. Thanks to all the hosts, for Dean, Bobby, and Tim for the Flannelverse show we had coming up for the GPP takes with Jordan and Erik, and you, TJ, working behind the scenes all day. Thanks to everybody for watching. We appreciate that. Click the like button on your way out. Oh, and real quick, I didn't even bring this up here. I got a scores and odds play. Bring it up here. I promised you guys. I think you got there on the likes. Go get Oronde Gadsden under 38.5 yards on Monday night. I'll give you a prop that's not going now. I think the Chargers probably going to run the ball a lot in this game. His matchup's absolutely brutal. Don't really see him getting involved in the offense too much in this one. That's probably one of my favorite ones I have currently up on scores and odds. So with all of that said, TJ, we're going to get out of here. Thanks to everybody for watching, and we out you.